Part 165. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1644. This child is too much in my shadow. Alas, it's my fault. Jia Yan hid in the subspace, silently watching Jiarong's expression at this moment, and sighed slightly. However, he performed very well, and even Jia Yan was a little surprised by the sense of positive and negative power he used at the last moment. In short, his strength is much stronger than that of ordinary venerable primary creatures. It's not that he has crossed too many levels, but that he can defeat ordinary venerable mid-level creatures. If he is in the venerable primary level, if you wait for a long time, you may be able to defeat even the middle-level genius level venerable. He is worthy of being rated as a top genius in the genius battlefield. Jia Yan sensed Jiarong's strength bit by bit. In fact, Jiarong did succeed. He succeeded in attracting Jia Yan's attention in this first battle, which was regarded as a success in realizing his plan. Jiarong didn't know that Jia Yan was paying attention to him, but when he turned around and saw that there was no sign of paying attention to his performance at the place he thought was his clone, he suddenly felt depressed. He also thought that his strength was not worthy of the attention of a being who had reached the stellar level, or even the strongest person in the stellar level. I will always get opportunities in the future. He doesn't pay attention to me now because my strength and performance are not enough for him to pay attention to me. As long as I perform better this time, he will definitely change his view of me. The more Jia Yan behaves like that, the more Jiarong wants to attract Jia Yan's care and attention. This is not a normal hatred, but a very complicated issue between father and son. Okay, now it's the turn of one of my clones. Jia Yan didn't pay much attention to Jiarong's expression. After observing him, he went into a clone's body and controlled it to enter the fighting arena. Haha, you are another fool with such a cold demeanor. Are you pretending to be cool? I will make your death ugly. The opponent was a monster that looked like a big spider. As soon as he entered the fighting stage, he burst into laughter because he found that the small creature in front of him had sharp eyes and a cold expression, just like that kind of strange creature. A super strong person who loves to talk but has good strength. So he laughed, because in his opinion, although this kind of pretending creature has some general strength, it is unlikely to reach a very powerful level. After all, this kind of attitude is just uncomfortable. Maybe it is very uncomfortable in a small place. It's easy to come up, but there are so many biological geniuses in the universe. If you dominate a place, there will always be geniuses who can cure you. That's why he feels that this tiny creature in front of him is very annoying. The most annoying thing is his eyes seemed not to take people seriously. But is the clone in front of this creature really the cool guy he imagined? That's strange. Jia Yan is not pretending to be cool, nor does he want to show some solemn expression. He just really doesn't have time to control so many expressions. He has to control so many clones. How can he control the expression of each clone? Are they all simulated in place? The appearance of this clone is exactly that of the starry sky level Earthling. It is also the Lord Jia Yan whom many Earthlings regard as a great hero. Because the appearance of Jia Yan is different from that of the original Jia Yan, but looks like an Earthling who looks 2 meters tall, so no one except Jiarong and Jia Yan's subordinates knows that he is a clone controlled by Jia Yan himself. When the other party tried to flatter him, Jia Yan didn't think much about it and didn't even listen. Game start. Puff. When the referee announced the start of the game, there was a sound in an instant. The spider-like creature's head disappeared as soon as the referee spoke his words. This, Mr. Assassin wins. The referee was an extremely terrifying venerable master. He could secretly see how Jia Yan killed the enemy's spider monster with one blow, but this was also due to his unnatural demeanor, even a little, cause for panic. Because this seemed to be just a starry sky level creature, but he actually used his brainwave power in an instant, and then his body burst out with some terrifying power in an instant, and then rushed towards that person. A terrifying punch erupted in front of the opponent on the opposite side. Except for the powerful men above the venerable level, no one present at this punch could see how it was done. In short, even the venerable level felt very frightened by this punch. His strength is at the star level, right? Why can he knock off his opponent's head with just one punch? That's right, it's just that he used some kind of terrifying secret technique. With one blow, his combat power is no less than that of a venerable. Moreover, his movements and speed are perfect. If I encountered him, it would be hard to tell. To win against him, you must know that I am already an intermediate level creature of the venerable. Several venerable level contestants watching the battle on the sidelines were looking at the Jia Yan clone in the battle, with a hint of respect in their expressions. Although their strength was compared to the Zikong level being in the battle was much stronger, but when it came to a real fight, they didn't think they could defeat such an absolute genius, so they had respect for him. Horrible. Further away, Jiarong also saw this scene, but he knew who the creature in this battle capital was. It was a clone of his father. Because he knew that Jia Yan was a legendary creature, he was not shocked by the scene he saw in front of him, but he still had a little more offer Jia Yan's strength. This was a weak person seeing a strong person. The patient's normal reaction. Master, that is. Stop asking. Beside Jiarong, several subordinates saw that Jiarong had been watching a starry sky level battle, and couldn't help but turn their heads to look. As a result, through the actions and brainwave power that were very similar to Jiarong, it felt like I recognized him as having something to do with Jiarong, so one of them couldn't help but ask. Unfortunately, their doubts did not receive a response from Jiarong. But all the subordinates had some vague guesses. After all, not everyone is a fool. Not long after, on the fighting stage, each contestant quickly passed by. The battle venue between the Venerable and the Starry Sky level experts is actually very close, because there is not that big a gap in strength between them, and there is no need to be like the more powerful beings, who need a very large venue and no interference. Environment of. During this process, the venues for dozens of competitions were not that far away for a strong person. Therefore, during this process, Jiarong, who was at the beginning of the Venerable stage, kept looking at the people on the other side. The Starry Sky level powerhouse who fought. Awesome, another blow. If you didn't know his original strength, that he is a creature of the lower stellar level, I would praise him for such a genius. But it is a pity that he is a creature controlled by a strong man of the stellar level. Then it can't be said to be a genius, it even feels a bit like bullying and fraud. Jiarong looked at Jia Yan's clone along the way. He quickly cleared a level as if he was overcoming obstacles, and was about to rush to the next more powerful difficulty, so he couldn't help but recognize the strength of Jia Yan's clone, especially I just saw a creature that had reached the lower level of the Starry Sky, challenging Jia Yan's clone, but Jia Yan also died in one blow. This must be the secret genius of their Orion arm. Based on the barrenness of their star field, raising such a terrifying genius would probably require a lot of resources. There are only a few in a star field. No, there seems to be similar strong men in the several levels of the Venerables on the other side, as well as the half-star level where the stronger ones are. How is that possible? Could it be that he is also a genius? No, even if such a genius is capable, if he wants to cultivate him, he still needs at least certain resources. Where can these resources come from a place as backward as Orion arm? One by one, the surrounding spectators, even the Imperial Star level being who was attracted by Jiarong just now and has not yet left, all saw the performance of the star level clone here at this moment. Fortunately, it's just a Starry Sky level. This kind of talent is incredible. But with such a low strength, there is no way to affect the overall situation. Just when this stellar powerhouse was thinking this, suddenly there was a burst of noise in other competition halls on the side. This star-level creature immediately focused his brainwave power on the direction and put it in the competition hall on the other side. Here, a clone of Jia Yan also participated in the battle, and with one blow, he directly killed the semi-star level intermediate creature with a similar strength to his clone. This, could it be that he is also a genius, and has reached half-star level? That would be terrifying. At this moment, the star-level powerhouse only felt a burst of fear. After all, as a powerhouse, he knew that a star-level genius might not be anything, but if the enemy had a half-star level genius, it would be different. Well, if this half-star can practice faster and reach the star level, he will be a big shot and a serious problem for their empire. Find a way to kill him, even if I do it myself. This star level has made such a plan to kill the enemy's effective forces, especially such genius level effective forces, which is what all major forces will do. But just when he made this decision, and even when he was thinking of ways to remember that mid-level stellar creature in his mind, suddenly, there was another noise in other arenas of this huge competition venue. What's going on? Let's go and see. This star-level creature of the Empire suddenly turned his brainwave power and looked towards the place where the noise was coming from. As a result, he saw that in the arena over there, another high-level half-star creature was unleashing its own strength, and then killed a late-level half-star genius of the Empire in front of him with one blow. What? This half-star lower-level creature from the Empire was a friend I was familiar with, and he was killed in one blow? This must be another genius. What's going on? The star-level creature only felt unrealistic at this moment, because the half-star level creature that was killed was exactly one of his friends. Previously, they were both the same half-star level creature. And he was quickly promoted to the stellar level, and the two parties were still friends. He could vaguely feel that this friend would soon be able to reach the stellar level. Unexpectedly, here, he was actually beaten by another from Orion. Half the star level of the arm was destroyed. This is so abnormal. How could so many geniuses suddenly appear, and they are still half-star level? I won't say anything else. I have a vague feeling that their moves are similar to those that appeared on the battlefield before. Those guys who look like stars and semi-stars are very similar. Could it be? This star-level creature suddenly shuddered at this moment, because that group of people had appeared in all major battlefields 5 years ago, and then killed several of their empire's mid-level star-level creatures. As for the arrival, the whole empire has been rumored to be crazy, saying that the empire was defeated and so on. And say that star-level powerhouses will have to run away when they see them. And now, he discovered that the few semi-star geniuses he saw were a bit like the strong men who appeared that time. That's right, especially those guys who look like the real lower-level semi-stars. Their vague appearance is them. Gosh, they actually let existences with stellar-level combat capabilities participate in the semi-star level competition. Fighting, this Orion arm is already crazy, this is definitely cheating, I want to tell the boss. No, although their strength seems to be very strong, they are still vaguely half-star level. But if it is half-star level, why were they able to fight against star level alone before? Could it be that this universe has developed? Is it possible for a half-star level warrior to defeat a star level warrior? This is impossible. The star level creatures observing the battle were already a little at a loss. Especially when he was quietly observing a semi-star level strongman who was a clone of Jia Yan, the half-star level creature suddenly looked in the direction of the stellar level strongman, and then sneered. What? Your Excellency, I am a half-star, right? Don't say that I am not a half-star, we will be unhappy. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the brainwave power of a star-level powerhouse, and directly see the true identity of the Empire's star-level existence. Seeing that star-level creature was frightened for a while, he even almost started to run away at this moment. You must know that if his guess is correct, These so-called semi-star contestants on the battlefield are all outsiders with the same fighting power as 5 years ago. That would be terrible. Each one of them can fight with himself. Biology. No, since they will come to compete, they don't want to make a big fuss. Don't worry. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1645. I want to report this matter, but it's a pity that I can't find evidence that they are not half-stars. We shouldn't be able to fight. Now that they have entered the competition, the chance of winning is slim. This stellar powerhouse wanted to report his information as quickly as possible. It's just a battle, or even just a matter of ownership of a half-light-year territory. Things are not that exaggeratedly important. But this matter is not the case when it comes to the evolved beast in the Orion Arm. After all, what the Empire has been fighting is the giant mosquito ancestor and his subordinates. Regarding this, the star-level existence of the Empire can still distinguish clearly. So not long after, the news about the appearance of something suspected to be the clone of the ancestor of the giant mosquito in this great competition between the two sides was passed to the Empire headquarters, who didn't know how far away. No one knows how the Empire will respond now, but the Empire star is sitting on pins and needles in this competition field. I am sitting directly in this building, and several other colleagues are sitting far away. At first, I said that I was the strongest and more powerful than them. Being able to sit here is a bonus, but now I see that this evolved beast, it's possible that he is here, and even his son has a power that can fight against me. Damn it, this is not a benefit, it is completely a disadvantage. If we face such a being directly, I guess there will be no scum left. As a star-level being, he has the strongest ability to identify strength. He felt that the evolved beast, even if it was just a force or a clone, could compete with him, and might even defeat him. After killing him, he understood that this evolved beast was definitely not something he could deal with. In this situation, even if he claimed to be a star, he could only put aside the problem of face and feel the thorny problem at this time. Don't dare to go out. Aren't you awesome? Then I won't go out and provoke your head office. So next, in this huge competition venue, the leader of the Orion Arm, who was also a star-level creature but was a former strong creature from the biochemical star field, slowly became stunned. As someone appointed by the Orion Arm to take charge of the competition, he was depressed before because he knew that his strength was pretty good in the biochemical star field, but against the talented Imperial star-level creatures, he would definitely be suppressed. Even if a conflict breaks out directly here, he will be the first to die. But I always thought that during this fight, the other party would use their momentum or energy to provoke me, and then bully me. However, after the fight went on for a while, nothing happened. Could it be that the Empire is actually a person who abides by treaties very much? It said it would just sit in control, but does it mean that it is completely in charge? This star-level creature didn't understand at all. The eternal breath-level powerhouse in the Empire wanted to suppress this primary star creature from the biochemical star field in this competition at the beginning, and then Zhang Xian, let's take a look at the Empire's powerful biological strength. But now that Jia Yan's clone is here, and Jia Yan's son Jiarong is here carrying some of Jia Yan's power, this star-level existence of the Empire is trembling. Even if he is a tortoise, how can he dare to take the initiative to stir up trouble? As it happened, the person in charge of the biochemical star territory was a relatively unruly person. Although he had always been afraid of what the Empire would do, when he discovered something strange, he became bolder. So not long after, the creature's brainwave power suddenly released a little in the competition between creatures of all levels on both sides, and then surged towards the star-level powerhouse in the Empire. Huh? He actually took the initiative to stir up trouble. Could it be that the star level of this biochemical star field only dared to do this after getting the guidance of that evolved beast? The Imperial star-level powerhouse on the other side changed his demeanor after he felt that this star-level star from the biochemical star field was actually provoking him with a strength weaker than his own. He only thought that this was Jia Yan's instruction, and he didn't dare to have any extreme reaction at the moment. After all, if someone wanted to cause trouble and he responded, he might be in trouble. Don't go too far. I'm very restrained. The other party did not dare to respond and just ignored the provocation of this force. Why? I've made it like this, and he doesn't even dare to respond. It's weird. On the other side, the star-level powerhouse from the biochemical star territory felt a little surprised at this moment. The difference in strength between the two sides could be seen at a glance, but even if he provoked him like this, the other party did not. Dare you respond? What happened? Try again. After a slight change in the expression of this star-level being, he used his brainwave power again, this time even more exaggeratedly. His brainwave power was pushed in front of others, and he was about to get close to them. Kilometers away. This is like someone from Earth pushing a meter away from you with his fist. It is definitely a big provocation. This star-level creature from the biochemical star field was also a little nervous, but he just wanted to try it, because he had a vague feeling in his heart that this star-level powerhouse from the Empire really didn't want to treat him. Act as if in response. But the actual situation was just like what he thought. This star-level warrior in the Empire, a creature even more powerful than him, actually allowed his brainwave power to push in front of his eyes. What an act of revenge. I'll go, it's so useless, I'll try again. The star-level creature in the biochemical star field suddenly became bolder, and then his brainwave power, bit by bit, advanced in front of the star-level enemy. By the time he came to a complete stop, his brainwave power had already suppressed the eyes of the star-level creature from the Empire. He was only a little bit short of being able to contact his body. The fists are almost inserted into your eyes. It's a very bad situation. But just like that, the star-level being of the Empire was trembling with anger, but he did not take any revenge. Through the actions of the stellar shackle creature beside Orion's arm, the Empire's stellar powerhouse was not only angry at this moment, but also seemed to be more convinced that the other party was doing this deliberately, just to anger him, and then there was what kind of backhand move? It happened that the more he acted like this, the less he dared to backhand. Forget it, no matter how close you are, there's nothing to get close to. This Empire's stellar powerhouse seems to have something wrong with his head. The star-level creature in the biochemical star field, at this moment, saw that the star-level powerhouse of the Empire seemed to be very angry, as if he could take action at any time, but did not dare to move, and he also realized deeply there was something wrong with this, but he couldn't figure it out, so he gave up and continued to provoke. After all, if something happened, he was not as strong as the other party, and it might be his time to die soon. Next, a group of Jia Yan's clones in the competition venue all looked at the sky thoughtfully and smiled slightly. This time, Lord Jiarong from Earth wins again. After a battle at the first level of a venerable, Jiarong's name was mentioned again. Several senior officials from Empire and Orion on the sidelines of the field were looking in the direction of Jiarong with faint surprise. At this time, they have determined that Jiarong's talent is indeed good, especially his strength has a vague feeling of fighting beyond the level, which makes others deeply realize that he has not given anything to his father, that is, that so-called ancestor of the giant Mosquito is a disgrace to you, sir. No one on both sides dared to call Jiarong's name directly. Instead, everyone added the word adult behind his name, even for stellar-level creatures. Jiarong is here, as if he is in his own sphere of influence. No one dares to underestimate him, and his strength has indeed reached a level that other creatures cannot believe, so his expression is slightly lifted. The only thing that wasn't so happy was that he often looked back at his father clone, and never received any look of shock or appreciation. After all, Jia Yan himself is a being whose talent exceeds that of Jiarong by an unknown amount. He has nothing to be shocked about, but of course, there are also surprises, but Jiarong has not received such a signal. Alas, my talent is still not good enough. Unfortunately, that's all I can do. Jiarong quickly reached the finals of the Venerable Junior level. In the finals, he also vaguely discovered that there were at least two existences that looked like Jia Yan's clones. In the finals, these two venerable creatures, Jia Yan's clones, did nothing to hide their strength. At this moment, they were already the favorites to win the championship, even compared to Jiarong, Jia Yan's son. Both are very popular. With one strike, this number 2 creature is actually more powerful than the famous Earthling Jia Yan's son. Jia Yan's son. Anyone with some insider knowledge knows that he is the son of the giant Mosquito evolved beast. He is a top genius, but he is not as good as those two guys. I don't know which force these two guys belong to, or in other words, they don't belong to any force at all. In this case, wouldn't we also have the opportunity to recruit them as our subordinates? Don't have such wishful thinking. How can such a talent be possible without the cultivation of influence? Every comment in the surroundings was heard by Jiarongna, whose ears were beyond the ears of ordinary creatures of the same level. Then he smiled bitterly. The creatures next to you probably don't know that these two guys are the clones of the so-called evolutionary beast Jia Yan. They actually participated in the competition themselves, and there are two of them in one level. How much do you want to win? Jiarong smiled bitterly. He originally thought that if he participated in a competition of the same level, Jia Yan would be more at ease and let him win the championship. Unexpectedly, this guy actually refused and directly let the two clones be of the same level as him. Want to be foolproof? In fact, Jiarong has not seen the venues of other levels at all. If he had seen it, he would not think so. In some levels, such as the high-level semi-star level, Jia Yan actually sent 5 clones to guard the place. It's not that he's really worried that there are geniuses that his clones can't beat, but it's just that he's bored. That's right, it's just boring. There are so many clones. It's useless to keep them even if you don't use them. It's better to get out and move around. Maybe it can give him more control over the horizontal abilities of the clones. Finally, at the initial stage of the Venerable's strength, Jiarong defeated an extremely powerful opponent with some difficulty. This opponent allowed Jiarong to use his 3-point strength. Yes, it is 3 points, because for a top genius like Jiarong in the battlefield, an opponent who can use 3 points of strength is already extremely shocking. Of course, this is someone who has reached the pinnacle of the Venerable CI level. And he has just reached the initial level of Venerable. Otherwise it would definitely be easier. But this has shocked others. This Mr. Jiarong player actually defeated the player Gang Wu. You must know that he is the most powerful genius at the beginning of the Imperial side. Even he can't defeat Mr. Jiarong. But Master Jiarong's next enemy will not be so easy to deal with, because he will fight against number 2 and number 3. I don't know what kind of battle it will be. The host is guiding everyone's atmosphere. But even if he doesn't guide, the surrounding audience will definitely feel and want to know who is more powerful among the 3 primary creatures of the Lord in this competition. After all, although Jiarong seemed to have to spend more energy to defeat an ordinary enemy, number 2 and number 3 both destroyed the enemy with one blow, but the two sides had never fought before, and no one knew which side was which. It's more powerful. Find bookstore. Now only these 3 major players are left. Oh, I actually fought with him, it just happened that I was able to experience for myself what the real gap is. Jiarong was originally very shocked by this situation, but when he thought about it, he became pleasantly surprised. He had long wanted to know personally what the strength of his father, Jia Yan, was, but he had never had the chance, but now there was actually an opportunity right in front of me. But something completely beyond his expectation happened. I abstain. I also abstain. Just when Jiarong was ready, gearing up, and ready to give it a try, the two Jia Yan avatars said this to the host and referee. Jia Yan had no intention of fighting with his son. His purpose was just to ensure that the victory belonged to the Orion arm. Now that he had achieved his goal, it didn't matter if he abstained. Jiarong was just a little depressed and stunned. That's all. The result of the battle was not that satisfactory. After all, the fight between dragons and tigers that everyone imagined did not happen. Some people even thought of the word shady, but no matter what, Jiarong was the winner. A small battle here is just a partial battle for Jia Yan. In fact, apart from here, several of his other clones also fought with great success and reached the finals. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1646. This. What's going on? In several venues, people from the Orion arm have taken the top spots. Especially those guys, their abilities seem to be very unique. They have a unique skill in every game. It's simply terrifying. What kind of talent is this? The expressions and aura of these other people seem to be the same. The spectators who were watching the battle outside the battlefield, or the strong men on both sides, were stunned. They had no idea that so many Orion arm geniuses had appeared in this battle, and they didn't even know why these beings who had reached the top seemed to have the same momentum. Only some of the higher UPS of both sides, or those who had fought in the last battle, discovered a little bit of the secret. Well, the temperament of this group of beings seems to be very similar to those strong men who appeared during the first battle on the border. That's right, I was also in that battle. These students, no, sir, they seem to have the same temperament as those adults. You haven't seen it yet? In the battlefield on the back level of the half-star over there was an adult who was one of the stellar level adults who participated in the battle at that time. Oh my god, an adult with stellar level combat power came to participate. It was a semi-star game, and his strength was tested before the game, but he was not detected by the Empire. This is also a genius. Soldiers who had fought on both sides, or who had seen Jia Yan's clones fighting that day, were all astonished by the creatures of the same temperament that appeared on the battlefield. Then some soldiers even said that they had seen some of the powerful and talented contestants. As a result, the true identities of this group of contestants were immediately known secretly by most people. What? Hey, among the opponent's contestants, there is actually a star class that participated in the first border battle last time. Is our detection instrument dead? There is not even a star class participating in the competition. Detect it? It's a bit strange. The Orion arm star level creature who came to compete, at least from the current perspective, his strength is still half star level. It's so strange. It seems that his strength should have been half star level. None of our instruments detected it. What's the semi-stellar level? Could it be that the scene where he fought with our star level beings that day and even killed so many stellar level and even mid-stellar adults was fake? Quickly, contact the person in charge of the other party. I need to make this clear to them. The other party has contacted us and said that they don't know why this gentleman is here. He even said that they don't know many of the Orion arm geniuses present. How could this happen? They don't know what the Orion arm is playing. So where did these geniuses come from? It must be their conspiracy. I want to contact the stellar masters of our empire. There must be a way. Well, that's not possible. I just went to contact the adults here, but they ignored me. It seemed, I seemed to be restrained by something. In this competition venue, the high-ranking officials of the empire have gone completely crazy. In the previous battlefields, it was the geniuses of the Orion arm who got the top rankings. The geniuses of their empire should have been completely crushed, but in the end now not even one can reach the finals. What made them even more depressed was that they ran to meet the Stellar Master who had previously attacked Jiurong, but was blocked by a wave of power in Jiurong's body, only to find that the Master ignored them. It is a place that makes people in the Empire feel uncomfortable. In fact, they didn't know that it wasn't that the adult didn't want to pay attention to them, but that he felt extremely uncomfortable now. He was tightly restricted by the star-level being in the Orion arm and couldn't even move at all. Asshole, what the hell is going on? The other party actually came with so many weird star-level powerhouses, and each of them showed only half star-level strength. Let alone fight them. Even one of them can kill me with just one move. This stellar powerhouse was almost crying. If he had known better, he would not have chosen such a good mission. Others thought he had taken advantage of him. In the future, he might become a hero in attacking this half of the biochemical star field or even the Orion arm. But now, looking at it, where the hell is he? A hero, but one who came to die. Simply sad. At this moment, the star-level powerhouses further around, the star-level beings from the Empire who came to defend this battle, also sensed that something was wrong here. There were even several senior officials close to the battle, passing by give them the news and let them know all the details of the competition. What? It's all the people on the Orion arm who win. Shouldn't it be the other way around, and it's all us who win? Why is it like this? The two star-level beings of the Empire were originally very depressed because their positions were occupied by that star-level powerhouse. Now that they heard this kind of thing again, they were immediately furious. That guy actually doesn't care? And we don't understand what you said about the winner being weird. Due to the inconsistency in intelligence, the 2.5 stars were unexpectedly given vague words by the senior officials who brought the news. They did not expect that the victorious Orion arm half-stars were actually the same ones who had fought with them 5 years ago. During their war, those foreign star-level entities had shone brightly. So after thinking for a while, they decided that this was the time for them to dispatch. Maybe the Imperial colleague over there was also caught up in something, and it was right for them to go and take a look. So these two stellar masters flew out of their area. Huh? Those two guys actually went out. Didn't they agree that the stellar candidates from both sides of us are here waiting for the outcome of the battle? Do they want to overthrow this code? There are other star-level powerhouses in the Empire, and of course there are also in the Orion arm. However, the Orion arm itself does not have any extra Hongxiao primary level beings. The ones here are just the Hongxiaos that the two biochemical stars have drawn from their busy schedules. Stars exist, even stars that come to support the scene during the opening 2 days and then leave. But in the past 2 days, they had seen star-level existences from the Empire, and they actually dared to go towards the competition building. Therefore, they have the obligation to protect the participating Orion arm and biochemical star domain geniuses. Do it? These two star-level beings were not powerful beings, so they rushed toward the two star-level stars of the two great empires anxiously, but they were a little afraid. You dare to come? Then you are seeking death. Seeing that the two stars on the Orion arm side really dared to rush to stop them, the Empire immediately became more convinced that there were some variables on the other side of the competition field, so they prepared to attack these two stars. Well, on the other side, Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, looked at the actions on both sides in a daze. Because of his avatar participating in the competition, he also knew that there would be some variables, and he had already made some plans, but he never expected that the cause of the variables was actually because of the constant in the competition field. The star level was manipulated by the star level existence on his side. A war cannot break out yet. If the stars of these two sides fight, a war will definitely break out. Jia Yan quickly sent a wave of brainwave power towards the person who controlled the Orion arm of the star level in the competition arena. Friend, I am the ancestor of the giant Mosquito. Stop putting pressure on your opponent, otherwise it will lead to a war. The star-level creature at Orion's arm who was sitting in the competition arena had just recovered from the pleasure of suppressing the enemy and was thinking about what was going on when he happened to hear a voice in his ear. What is this power? What a terrifying power! This primary star creature, even the weakest among the primary stars, was almost unable to move due to the sound transmission from Jia Yan's brainwave power. In shock, he released his suppression of the brainwave power of the Imperial Star. This bastard, if there wasn't any other pressure, I would definitely kill him. The star-level star of the Empire finally felt that the Orion arm star-level creature in front of him had stopped suppressing him, and stopped resisting with an extremely ugly expression. But at the same moment, he found that his communicator had countless messages flashing wildly. Just now, he was fully prepared to fight against the star-level creature in the Orion arm, so he didn't observe the movement of the communicator, so he missed so many messages. He quickly opened it and took a look. They actually want to take action. Quick, stop. Although there seems to be a risk on my side, I have not really taken action. The stellar powerhouse of the Empire quickly sent a message to reply. If the war was caused by his negligence, he would be a great sinner. On the other side, the 4 star-level beings were already at war with each other, and the 2 from the Empire suddenly stopped. Is it a misunderstanding? That guy actually used this kind of excuse, let's stop. Fortunately, at least the news didn't come late. Otherwise, if we start fighting here first, the whole competition and war will start. Do not fight. The 2 stellar powerhouses of the Orion arm on the other side saw that the 2 stellar warriors had stopped charging and retreated, so they also stopped feeling aggressive and retreated. There has been no special contact between the 2 parties, and they have not even spoken. Let's go. Alas, I don't know why I did this. Could it be that there was something wrong with the martial arts competition? These 2 star-level beings from the Orion arm put aside the matter of fighting and quickly asked the person in charge of the competition battlefield. Is everything okay? No, something's wrong. Oh, it's not really anything, but the biggest thing is that our Orions have actually won more victories. This, although it is a good thing, it is indeed a bit abnormal. No wonder those 2 guys want to enter the martial arts arena. The 2 stellar powerhouses suddenly understood why the other wanted to enter the competition arena. Although there is nothing in the competition arena now, they completely understand that if there is nothing to say, there is something wrong. After all, who before this battle would think that the Orion arm can actually have more winners than the other side? It's so weird, especially the winning levels they mentioned. We never expected that only the geniuses from our biochemical star field and Orion arm would win, and the names and photos of their winners, we have never heard of it or seen it before. It's so weird. I wonder if it was the giant Mosquito Senior who did it again. It's possible, haha, that's good. If that existence also takes action, doesn't it mean that the danger we are here is not that high? The 2 stars analyzed for a while and felt that if the being in Orion's arm also took action, their risk would not be as high as they thought beforehand, so they felt relieved. Of course, no one knew whether things were as they expected, so they still obeyed their orders and flew back to their original positions to observe the movements of the 2 empires. Except for Jia Yan, no one at the competition venue here knew that there were 2 star-level stars not far from the competition venue hundreds of millions of kilometers away, and they wanted to start a new war. Everyone thinks that it is at least peaceful now and they are fighting on the battlefield. Find bookstore. Drink. Suddenly, a shocking brainwave power struck. The power of this brainwave is terrifying. It's about to turn into reality. I don't know if his opponent can take it. No, I think it depends on whether the opponent can use 2 moves. Why, Do you still think that this opponent will be killed in one move in front of that number 9? You are underestimating the creatures of my empire. Just that number 9, how could it be possible? Puff. The terrifying brainwave power suddenly stopped with a slight popping sound. The genius creature that released the terrifying brainwave power just fell straight down. 9. Number 9 wins. He is the final champion of the semi-stellar mid-level. The referee can hardly understand the fight. Not only him, but everyone couldn't understand, especially those who knew that there were talented and powerful creatures with similar names in other venues. Like this number 9, he only needed one hit to win the game easily. After that, looking at number 9 was even more terrifying. What are the origins of this number 9, as well as numbers 1, 2, and 3 from other directions? They all feel weird. I don't know where they came from, but their strength is indeed terrifying at the same level. I guess they want to take first place in them all this time. No, I just heard that the Venerable ranked first in the beginner level and gave up. Humph, give up when you encounter opponents from the Orion arm. They are here to help the Orion arm, but where do so many geniuses come from? It's so weird. I guess there is some secret in it. Where can there be so many geniuses? The Orion arm is originally a remote place, and only half of the biochemical star field is left. Even all the geniuses in the biochemical star field cannot be with me. How could so many geniuses suddenly appear compared to other geniuses? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1647. People in the biochemical star territory couldn't understand why there were so many geniuses in the Orion arm and the other half of the biochemical star territory, but what they didn't expect was that the Orion arm themselves were confused. Well, we have won so many games. But why are the geniuses in every game unknown to us? Many people, even those with a little power, had no idea what was going on. Everyone had a premonition that the Orion arm failed in the genius battle this time. After all, it was better than the genius, let alone the Orion arm and half of the biochemical star field. The geniuses in the small star field may not be able to compare with the foundation of the Empire. The Empire is an old and terrifying star field, with an incomparable and complete inheritance, and a very complete team of talented teachers. It is not comparable to weak star fields like the Orion arm and the biochemical star field. Of course, the Orion arm is too weak, and there are at least some geniuses in the biochemical star territory who can take advantage of it. This battle of geniuses, in the eyes of many people, belongs to the Orion arm. It's just half a light year away. So people want to see how the Orion arm loses the game. Many companies place bets on whether the Orion arm can win 1 or 2 genius-level games. No one would have expected that Orion arm would win almost half of the talent-level competitions. Haha, this genius event is quite similar to the previous genius battle in the genius field. It's an old memory, but it's a pity that I can't go back. Jia Yan controlled the clones in the subspace and won the battle. Then he thought about the genius battle in the past without thinking about his opponent's current psychology. But he doesn't have to think about his opponent. Both sides are enemies. Okay, this time the Orion arm wins again. Suddenly, with the end of the last semi-stellar level competition, a shocking result came out. That's why this genius battle competition, which should have been as easy as picking out the treasure for the Empire, turned into an overwhelming victory for Orion's arm. No, it's definitely wrong. No one has seen those geniuses, and no one has heard of them in the Orion arm or the biochemical star field. How could they suddenly appear? It's definitely a fake. Suddenly, a semi-star level Empire executive jumped up and roared in anger. A person on the Orion arm side who was sitting at the half-star level didn't know what to say. The main problem was that he felt that in this competition field, his side's combat effectiveness was still not as good as the Empire's. If they started if you cheat and then want to use an excuse to start a war, then it will be a big problem. It is a small matter if the Orion arm loses, but it is a big deal if they lose their lives here. But even if this half-star doesn't speak, there will be no people who dare to speak in the Orion arm. There is even one who not only dares to speak, but also dares to kill all enemies. That's Jia Yan. That's right, he not only dared to speak, he also dared to take action. Boom. An earth-shattering banging sound exploded on the body of the semi-star powerhouse who had just questioned the Orion arm. Ah! This half-star level creature was instantly blown away by the force, torn apart and dead. What? Who? You actually killed a half-star powerhouse with one strike. And he was a half-star person that the Empire came here to control. He was at least a peak half-star person. How did you kill him with just one strike? One by one bystanders, or spectators, and experts from both sides, quickly looked towards the direction where the power erupted. I saw in that position, a cold animal who seemed to be a mid-level semi-star level, directly retracted his claws. This guy deserves to die for questioning our authenticity. The creature said silently, and then took out another brain. The screen on the brain quickly enlarged, and then became a screen over 100 meters in size. The strong men around him can clearly see the fonts on the screen. As you can see, these are the specific terms of the two sides in this competition. Let's look at Article 9. Does it clearly say that both sides can find foreign aid for each other? This is also the case when the Orion side knows that its talent is insufficient. Only then do you dare to compete in a battle between geniuses, otherwise do you think that the Orion arm is here to send territory away on purpose? Ah! So there is such a code. This clause is great. Does that mean these creatures are all experts invited by the Orion arm from the outside world? It's terrifying. Being able to invite such a being also shows that the Orion arm's strength is astounding. But he actually killed the Empire's pinnacle half-star level creature with one blow. Is this guy who just won the semi-star level intermediate victory so terrifying? What is his strength? But after killing an Empire's half-star leader, why didn't the Empire's star-level leader intervene? Many creatures are observing the surroundings, and many powerful men and geniuses of the Empire are waiting for the star-level leader of the Empire to appear at this time. No matter how strong you are, no matter how talented you are, you can never truly defeat a Heng Xiao level powerhouse. Since you have killed a half-star level leader of their empire, you must bear the corresponding responsibilities. This half-star existence was killed to avenge the killing of so many imperial geniuses in the competition just now. Everyone is waiting for the star-level being from the Empire to show up. But they are also thinking that if the star-level being from the Empire appears, will the Orion arm star-level powerhouse here also show up? After all, the friction between the two sides has long been great. Speaking of this semi-star genius, maybe it is just an excuse for war. The highlight is probably yet to come. But everyone waited for this highlight, waiting for a long time, but nothing happened. What's going on? The star-level expert from the Empire didn't show up, or even said a word. Every audience member and the senior officials of outside forces who did not know what was going on were stunned. You must know that this is definitely a slap in the face of the Empire in front of a star-level powerhouse. If you don't show up like this, you can only say that the star-level powerhouse is too cowardly, but it is wrong to say that, because that star-level powerhouse, if a strong person is cowardly, it will be impossible for him to cultivate to a star-level existence. Is there something behind it? Everyone waited and waited, but half a day passed without any response. The Empire seemed to have turned from the domineering and domineering in an instant into sick cats, and no one dared to speak. Humph, okay, this matter is our Empire's fault, but don't think that we will just give up. A semi-star level executive of the Empire uttered harsh words in fear, and then took the body of the half-star level executive and left towards the other side. Is the Empire timid? Unexpectedly, we thought that the Orion arm was definitely going to lose, but the result turned out to be a huge defeat for the Empire and a huge loss of face. It was simply unexpected. Haha, I just said it. If it doesn't even have this ability, how can this Orion arm dare to fight against the Empire? Let's go back and think about whether we should start a deal with this Orion arm. There's definitely something about this Orion arm. One by one, businessmen from the outside world, or rather powerful men, all left the competition building at this moment. Because the competition is all over, although many ordinary people still stay here to shop and buy peripheral products of the geniuses, most of the strong people have no interest in this. They left, but what they took with them was their opinions on the outcome of this unexpected genius competition between the two sides, and they returned to the major star regions and surrounding empires. Snort. When most of all the creatures left in a few days, an astonishing momentum suddenly exploded in this huge competition building. But just as his power exploded, another shocking force, like an adult pressing down on a child, gently pressed him back to the ground. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get rid of it. Your Excellency, you are the ancestor of the giant Mosquito. You are a highly respected senior. If you do such a thing to a junior star like me, don't you feel that you are bullying a small one? The person who was suppressed was the star-level expert from the Empire. He was really suffering in the past few days. First, he was slapped in the face by Jiarong with his brainwave power, and then he was also beaten by the same person here. The star-level expert on Orion's arm was slapped in the face, and then he was hit by this inexplicable power. When he wanted to help the semi-star level expert on his side, he was pressed hard here. Damn it, who said before coming here that being here is a great thing, and it is a place that will make you proud? As a result, now you are not only being suppressed by others, but you may not be able to survive. And the identity of the other party, this stellar creature, was quickly figured out. The only person with such strength in the Orion arm is probably the legendary ancestor of the giant Mosquito, or what they know from their information, the evolved beast Jia Yan. Haha, do you call me a senior? It's true that I am a giant mosquito, but I can't call you a senior. I'm not even 100 years old yet. You don't know how old I am. Jia Yan's joking voice sounded in the ears of the evolved beast. Not 100 years old. The star-level creature was shocked, as if it heard something terrible. You have to know that 100 years old, for a star-level powerhouse like him, is almost like a baby who has just started. Let alone star-level, even half-star level is difficult to achieve. But unfortunately, a creature that was not even much stronger than him, and could easily suppress him at this moment, said that he was not even 100 years old. This star-level creature is already over 600 years old, and yet it is still called a genius. But according to Jia Yan's words, he is not even 100 years old. He was not even born when the star-level strongman in front of him reached the star level. How can he still be called a senior like this? Evolved beast. The star-level creature was shocked, and then smiled bitterly. In fact, he has roughly calculated Jia Yan's age. After all, he only calculated based on the time of Jia Yan's appearance and so on. This time can roughly calculate how old an evolved beast like him will be, but almost no one is willing to believe that starting like this a super top genius who is less than 100 years old. But now, Jia Yan said it himself. Sir, in short, it is wrong for you to do this. Since your star field has won, I don't care how I won. Anyway, can you let me go now? Haha, want to leave? Okay, first sign the acceptance letter here. The brainwave power was flying in the air, but that creature, as a star-level powerhouse, just didn't know where Jia Yan was. The gap in strength was so big that it was unimaginable. Admit defeat? This star-level creature doesn't want to sign, because if he signs, he, as the strongest being in the Empire in this game, will represent the Empire's initial opinion, and there will be almost no room for change in the future. In other words, if he signs, we can talk about some small aspects. The one who gives up the territory will definitely become the empire. I want to make a name for myself in history, but not in this way. This star-level creature only felt bursts of sadness and tears. I just want to make some achievements so that future generations will remember me. But I didn't expect that it would really be possible to leave a legacy now, just for the Orion arm. It's a bit embarrassing. Sign or not? Suddenly, a huge pressure pressed against this star-level existence again. I'll sign. Isn't it okay if I sign? The star-level creature signed his name almost without tears, and even put his own flesh and blood and DNA samples on it, and then actively released a brainwave power into a small box. This is equivalent to explaining that he made the signature himself, rather than pretending. Very good. In this case, you can go back. Remember to tell other high-level officials and the army that starting from tomorrow, you will withdraw from the border half a light year away. You can also try not to retreat. I will go out this time, but I'm not just here to have fun. Jia Yan's brainwave power seemed to be coming from all directions. Even if the Empire's star-level expert knew that Jia Yan was in the subspace, no matter how he looked, he could not tell where he was. If this is a sudden attack on me, then... Thinking of this, the Empire's star-level experts quickly responded and then fled in despair. He knew that compared to Jia Yan's strength, there was a huge difference between heaven and earth. This ancestor of the giant mosquito, that is, the evolved beast, is so terrifying. Even if I face the 3 lower-level adults of our empire, I don't have a similar feeling. I want to report it, I must report it. He quickly headed towards the border in the direction of the empire. The day after this star-level creature returned, the Imperial Border Army has moved. Instead of pressing towards the Orion arm, which is half of the biochemical star field, it actually retreated. In other words, the Empire really gave in and didn't even dare to investigate whether the Orion arm violated the rules in the genius competition. Half a light year, got it? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1648. The Empire has retreated. You actually retreated like this. Could it be that the genius of our Orion arm won some kind of competition? It's impossible. Our genius is not as powerful as the genius of the Empire. Within the entire front, because the communication capabilities of the Orion arm were slower than those of the Imperial Army, the Orion army here only reacted when the Imperial Army's entire defense line began to retreat. Huh? Retreat. Several of Jia Yan's subordinates also looked a little moved at this time. As stellar mid-level beings, even in the past 5 years, their strength has improved one by one under Jia Yan's teachings. They were not afraid of what kind of battle would happen next, but they also felt that if a fight started, their and Jia Yan's strength would be further exposed, and they didn't want to fight. But the fact is that they don't want to fight, and they can't. It has been delayed for 5 years, which makes them very happy. They are even thinking about whether to let the Empire win 1 or 2 wars in this first resistance stage of the war, otherwise he and others have exploded in strength, and if the Empire directly conveys this news to the galaxy-level civilization above, it means that something is wrong. In short, the more time you can buy, the better. But what they never expected was that the target of this battle would actually retreat after the end of the genius battle that they thought they would lose. No, there is only one explanation for this, and that is the battle of geniuses over there. We won, and it was not a small win, or even a big win. It is more likely, Lord Jia Yan was there personally, otherwise the Empire would not have retreated. It's so straightforward. Several members of Jia Yan's team seemed to be vaguely aware that Jia Yan had something to do with the victory in this battle. They already knew that Jia Yan had come to the front here, so it was nothing like what happened now. Unexpected. As an insider, Luo Longxi was not too surprised. Wouldn't it be a bit ridiculous if Master Jia Yan did it himself and it didn't have such an effect? It turns out that if you do this, our side will not only gain 5 years, but we will not even lose any territory. Whether the Empire retreats or not retreats, we don't need this half-light year anyway. Then we only need to a little development time. Luo Longxi knew Jia Yan's plan. After all, Jia Yan's strength increased extremely quickly. Everyone also knew that Jia Yan wanted to fight for a period of peace, and what he was afraid of was not the Empire, but the galaxy class behind the Empire forces, and even the region lord forces behind the galaxy forces. In other words, even if Jia Yan has the strength to destroy the Empire now, he will not do it, and will even be more nervous to buy more time. And just as Luo Longxi said, Jia Yan, who had just returned to Luo Longxi's base in subspace at a speed that several of his subordinates could not understand, gave him a faint order. Luo Longxi, you think of a way to buy a little more time, even if you give up the half-light year that you just grabbed, I still have some time left to make another breakthrough. Eh? Sir. Okay. Luo Longxi heard Jia Yan's words and immediately knew what Jia Yan's plan was. After this half-light year came out, it became a new buffer, and it was not without reason that Jia Yan revealed his true body at the competition place, so that at least for a period of time the Empire would treat him existence feels thrilling. Even Jia Yan himself knows that what he does in the outer star field, except for the things in the Stellar Academy and the Divine Realm, are too far away, and the situation in the Genius battlefield may be known to the Empire, so Jia Yan he had no intention of making people in the Empire misunderstand that he was the ancestor of the giant Mosquito clan. So what if you know that I am an evolved beast? In other words, even if you know my talent, can you know the timing of the attack and my specific strength? This is what Jia Yan is planning. The Empire cannot calculate Jia Yan's specific strength. Even if it knows that Jia Yan is stalling for time, it will still be timid. In the following timid time difference, Jia Yan was able to break through quickly and make progress before the future empire could no longer wait and even led to a galaxy-level civilization. I want time. Jia Yan entered the subspace and continued his plan to break through. As for Luo Longxi, she continued her mission after Jia Yan returned to the subspace where she had been staying before. Jia Yan has been her leader for some time, and the two of them had spent some time alone together before, so Luo Longxi knew Jia Yan well. At this time, what Jia Yan said seemed to her through. He made precise calculations in his own mind and completed the tasks assigned by Jia Yan. First, she took out the communicator and spoke Jia Yan's words to a group of Jia Yan's subordinates. By the way, she said that Jia Yan used his avatar to go to the competition place and won the competition. Victory, it should even intimidate the Empire. The second point is that Luo Longxi communicated with the Empire again, saying that a half-light year territory handover ceremony was going to be held. Huh? This Orion Arms Rollins actually wants to perform a handover ceremony with us. Does this mean she wants to humiliate us in front of us? Refuse. Wait a minute, this shouldn't be a humiliation. Besides, our handover is half a light year away. It's really unreasonable not to have a high-level meeting. Let her come over. I'm afraid she won't dare to come. The Empire responded quickly. After a period of discussion, the Empire agreed to conduct a ceremony and hand over with the Orion arm. However, the documents for the ceremony required Luo Longxi to go to the Empire's front line alone to sign the contract. You think I don't dare to go? I'll give it a try. At least I know that there are no high-level stellar creatures on our side of the battle line. In this case, even if Master Jia Yan doesn't go, I'm sure to break through the dragnet. Lawrence set off. She didn't know if Jia Yan was following her to protect her. In short, there was a master who might be protecting her, and Luo Longxi was very confident. On the Empire side, this possibility has long been anticipated. That evolved beast may be protecting Luo Longxi's back. We must be careful. If the two sides start a battle and provoke its appearance, then we dare not say that we can win. Don't panic. We don't really want to fight her. I can't say whether the evolved beast will come. But if we don't cause trouble, does he really want to fight us? That's right, the evolved beast has been fighting us for so long and has never personally taken action. How could it fight us at such a time? This is so unreasonable. In short, it is necessary to be prepared. The receptionists from the Empire had already heard the news from the competition place. That is, the stellar powerhouses at the competition place were actually coerced by the giant Mosquito ancestor of the Orion arm, and then they stopped. Anyone who dared to interfere in the Genius War at that time admitted the failure of the Empire's genius. And through that scene, the masters in the Imperial battleships here actually knew that the so-called giant Mosquito ancestor, that is, the evolved beast, was actually extremely powerful, and he was a person who had reached the level that made their empire eternal. It's astonishing that even star creatures don't dare to take action. So it's hard to say whether the handover ceremony that Relancy mentioned this time has the shadow of that existence behind it. They are also facing a formidable enemy. Soon, a lightning-like shadow seemed to slide through the space quickly in both positive and negative directions, as well as yin and yang. This is yin-yang Dao. It's amazing. Yes, it is said that the yin and yang Dao is something that the subordinates of the evolved beast know. And they say that the yin and yang Dao was created by that evolved beast. It is extremely amazing. This has already broken the principles of our huge universe. If we create a new path, the cultivation system of the strong men in our universe will definitely not agree. The devil knows what kind of system this is. It might be a variant of our universe's powerful system. Anyway, I don't believe that this evolutionary beast can create a system that no one before has been able to create. It can create a system, and it is a star-level system. A system that can be practiced by anyone can't be that simple. Can. Don't worry, everyone is here. In a group of battleships, several star-level powerhouses, plus a group of semi-star level beings, are waiting here. Then they saw bursts of space creeping in the space in front of them. A female creature whose body was covered in green leaves and whose other parts looked like those on Earth magnified countless times, just emerged from the subspace. Yes, Luo Longxi has also mastered a certain amount of subspace, but she does not have the talent for subspace. She is able to do this only because she has been with Jia Yan for a long time, and because of the weirdness of Yin and Yang Dao, she has the ability to do this in subspace. The ability to move within space. Everyone, I'm here, Lawrence. He looked calmly at the huge fleet in front of him. This fleet consisted of 10 or 20,000 warships, and in front of the fleet were more than a dozen senior officials. Among these dozen high-level officials, at least half were stellar powerhouses, and one of them even faintly exuded terrifying mid-star strength fluctuations, which was extremely astonishing. If there are so many strong men and the explosive strength of the technological battleship, it is very possible to keep Luo Longxi here, at least in their opinion. Unexpectedly, Luo Longxi really came, and there was no worry or fear on her face. Coming? Great, let's get started. You're so brave, you actually came here alone. One by one, strong men hurriedly released their brainwave power into the surrounding subspace to find out whether there was any strong person. However, after watching for a long time, they did not detect any fluctuations in the subspace. For them, they are star-level powerhouses. Although a subspace talent can enter the subspace, no matter how powerful it is, it will leave traces in the subspace. They don't believe it. Is it so powerful that it can still leave no trace in subspace? So the evolved beast named Jia Yan probably didn't follow, so why is this Luo Longxi still so powerful? But if they don't follow, they can at least be tougher in attitude. You, the Orion arm, are preventing my empire from regaining its homeland, and this genius war was actually cheating, so we are going to find justice this time. Since you are willing to negotiate, tell us what to do. The words spoken by the people from the Empire seemed to have found a huge reason. Huh? What kind of homeland? Your homeland has been inhabited by the biochemical star territory for thousands of years, and then in this genius battle, the geniuses we sent are indeed of that level, right? So how can we cheat? Everyone in the great empire, others are stupid, but don't tell me that as stellar powerhouses, you are also stupid. Lawrence sneered. What? You actually called us stupid? Are you really not afraid that we will set fire to you now and kill you directly? If you dare to do it, just give it a try. Luo Longxi and a group of strong men from the Empire actually talked for only a few words before sparks almost broke out. Stop, Lady Relancy, we must all have missions, so just tell us. It is absolutely true that you Orions did some evil things this time. What do you want to do with the outcome of this competition? The mid-level star creature suddenly stopped the violent explosion of a group of subordinates. And just as they agreed, the group of subordinates instantly stopped criticizing Luo Longxi. It was just a game. At this scene, the sense of fighting that Relancy mentioned just now disappeared in an instant. She smiled, and he knew that this battle should be impossible. How about this? Luo Longxi said calmly, I admit that our Orion arm has invited foreign aid this time, and we will not admit anything else. However, based on the friendly vision of our Orion arm and the Empire, I personally believe that the Orion arm has the right to. What do you think about returning this half-light-year territory to your Empire in 10 years? In this way, 10 years later, your face will be saved. Our Orion arm has occupied that territory for 10 years, and the voices in the star field have also. It will be much smaller. It will benefit everyone, right? Huh? Will you occupy it for 10 years? The stellar mid-level executives of the Empire all narrowed their eyes at this moment. Then he calculated. The Orion arm had 1/2 a light-year of territory, and yet it was returned just like this. There must be something on its mind. So what's the idea? The eyes of the mid-stellar creature were full of thoughts. But after thinking about it, he didn't know what the 10 years of buffering meant. He didn't even think about it. 10 years was just to buy time. After all, it is extremely difficult for the Empire to launch an attack again within 10 years after encountering a bone as difficult to chew as the Orion arm, and Rollins is also using this half-light-year reason to block the Empire's mouth. That's all. This makes the possibility of attacks within 10 years even smaller, and the Orion arm has a chance to recuperate. More importantly, Jia Yan can practice peacefully for another 10 years. This is better than any other benefit. In this way, I agree. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1649. It was not without reason that Luo Longxi had to fight for 10 years. Jia Yan once said that his further improvement may occur within 10 years, so these 10 years have become extremely important. Of course, even if it is further improved, it is by no means reaching the galaxy level, because for Jia Yan, his original estimate was that it would take more than 20 or even 30 years to reach the galaxy level. Now 5 years have passed. The next 10 years will only be 15 years, and it is already very rare to be able to further reach the peak of the star level that has the opportunity to hit the galaxy level at any time. They agreed. Luo Longxi handed over the documents to the other party, and then she was thinking silently, and then flew to the direction of the Orion arm fleet with great vigilance. Humph, this Luo Longxi is so bold even when we are surrounded, and she has been so tough all the way. Aren't she afraid that we will kill her? What do you know? If there is really a very scary strong man behind her, then it is natural that we can't find him. Forget it, we have signed it. Originally, the rear of the base camp gave us such power. Now we sign it? Okay, I guess I didn't disappoint the base camp. Several powerful creatures in the Empire watched with hatred as Luo Longxi's green figure quickly disappeared into the distance, and then all of them were extremely helpless. But what they didn't know was that in the starry subspace where Luo Longxi left, a faint wave rippled gently. Follow Luo Longxi and leave together. In this way, this group of strong men still did not notice this wave of strong men. In fact, it's not that they can't find it, but that the subspace where this strong man is located is simply not deep enough for them to discover. Most outsiders don't know how deep the subspace is, so all they can do is explore it. When it comes to the 4 or 5 dimensions of subspace, this is already very impressive. But this coming creature actually flew within 6 degrees of subspace in one breath. At such a level, let alone an intermediate level star creature, even a star level creature might not be able to do it if he didn't pay too much attention. I discovered that within this 6-dimensional space, a creature would actually come. So the creatures in the space left silently. No one knew that he had been there before, not even Rollins, his subordinate, who knew that in the subspace, his leader had quietly been behind his back. Protected themselves. Of course, Luo Longxi had already secretly guessed that if Jia Yan didn't do anything about this kind of thing, then he would no longer be Jia Yan. After 10 years, I can go into seclusion. With so many clones, I will return to their original positions. However, I have to make it clear to my subordinates so that others will not disturb my clone, because it will affect the progress of my real body. Jia Yan returned to the side of the fleet where Luo Longxi was, and then a series of brainwave power was transmitted. Huh? Are you going to start seclusion again, sir? Haha, it's finally about to start again. The adults will generally make great progress in retreat. Before, he was already about to reach the peak of the star level. He should be able to enter this time. I can't tell, but every time you retreat, adults will always improve a lot. If he appears again this time, at least it will reduce our pressure a little bit more. Yes, despite our current success, what we are afraid of is the galaxy-level forces behind the Empire, and even the Domain Lord-level forces behind the galaxy-level forces. If they also come forward, then we will be doomed. Don't always think about your Lord's strength. We should work harder ourselves. After all, your Lord's strength is your own. No matter how strong he is, he will always have subordinates to help solve things. If I can't even help you with my strength, wouldn't it be a shame? Hurry up and practice. That's right, let's practice. If we can't catch up with you, you must at least become a subordinate who can help a little bit during the future war. The 9 subordinates all became more focused on their own cultivation after learning about Jia Yan's retreat. Fortunately, there is a correct cultivation method of Yin-Yang Dao, and it is explained by Jia Yan himself. Their cultivation speed is also very fast, and because of the cross-level compatibility of Yin-Yang Dao, their strength is definitely the top existence in the same level. During this period, the news of the victory of the Orion Arm spread like the wind to the Orion Arm, the other half of the biochemical star field and other places. As a result, the people who were not so relieved at first seemed to have a happy new year. Extremely excited. Did we win? Oh my God, I was prepared for our compatriots within half a light year to flee or even die, but we can still win. Is the genius of the Orion Arm that powerful? It's scary. The genius of our Orion Arm is actually so powerful. That's wrong. Why hasn't it appeared before? I heard that the giant Mosquito ancestor invited foreign aid. The Empire wanted to cheat at the time, but the terms were clearly written. Both our Orion Arm and their Empire could hire foreign aid, but they didn't. Our Orion Arm please, but they still don't want to admit it. I don't want to admit it anymore. A few days ago, public opinion seemed to say that I didn't want to admit it, but yesterday's news said that I did. Haha, this must be new pressure given to them by the ancestor of the giant Mosquito. It's amazing. Our Orion arm actually won such an important battle. Doesn't it seem like the Empire is not that powerful? Go away, why did you become a member of the Orion arm? Aren't we from the biochemical star territory? There is no such thing as a biochemical star field. Now our biochemical star field has long existed in name only. Half of it belongs to the Empire and half to the Orion arm. Everyone in this universe knows it. Do you live in the past? The victory of the Orion arm is not only shocking to the surrounding star field forces, but also a huge opportunity for unity within the Orion arm and the biochemical star field. After all, although the inside of the Orion arm is fine, there are still creatures that are not confident in their own internal strength. Very much, this victory gave everyone a very powerful shot in the arm. As for the biochemical star territory, this is even more true. Although the rule of the Orion arm in the biochemical star territory was not as strong as the resistance to the Empire, it was definitely not a sincere surrender. Many people were thinking of driving the Orion arm out of their biochemical star field one day, and then the biochemical star field will regain its rule. But now this victory has made the creatures in the biochemical star realm know how terrifying the genius of the Orion arm is, and even more aware of the astonishing depth of the Orion arm strongman. Regardless of whether it is a genius invited from the outside world, it is said to be the Orion arm, and it belongs to the Orion arm. After all, the Orion arm used to defeat their biochemical star field before, and they all used creatures from the outside world, such as Jia Yan's subordinates, etc. Didn't they defeat the entire biochemical star field? In a real war, who cares whether you are a creature from the Orion arm? If you can't defeat this group of creatures, you can't win. Of course, there was another reason why the Empire gave in. That was that some of them recognized the victorious creatures who participated in the semi-star genius battle. A large part of them might have been 5 years ago. The existence that defeated their empire in that border war meant that they were star level, not semi-star level at all. That kind of creature is still in the Orion arm, so if the Empire really wants to pursue this issue, I can't say whether it can produce evidence that they are not half-star at all, but at least, even if it is produced, start the battle. With the Empire now, Chen Bing's strength at the border is really not necessarily what he can do with the Orion arm. Ever since, this genius war ended so easily with the Empire's acquiescence. However, the Orion arm and half of the people in the biochemical star territory don't understand this at all. They only know that Jia Yan and a group of subordinates, leading the geniuses who were originally considered to be extremely weak, actually used who knows what kind of the method won the battle of geniuses. Not only did he not lose half a light year of territory, but he also occupied half a light year of the enemy's territory. This was extremely exciting. No, we are very close. Why didn't we send someone to occupy it? We have gone, but only a very small part has passed. Why is this happening? While the people were happy, they were surprised to see that the Orion arm only sent a small number of troops to accept the newly occupied territory half a light year away. This surprised everyone. But people have nothing to say about the things above. No one knows that privately the Empire and the Orion arm have already had a 10-year agreement, and because of this 10-year agreement, the Empire should not launch a war before then. At least this is not cost-effective, and the Orion arm has not been exposed until one's own weaknesses are revealed. War is unlikely. But there is one thing that the Orion arm, including Jia Yan, does not know, that is, the Empire has more information about Jia Yan than Jia Yan and the others. Even this information was already grasped before, but at that time, because of the Empire felt that it could deal with Orion arm and Jia Yan's group of subordinates, so it did not report it. Now that these 5 years have passed, the Empire has gradually felt that the evolved beasts they are facing are really matched by those amazing and brilliant evolved beasts in history, especially those that have reached the star level. The later evolved beast seems to have broken away from ordinary creatures. After reaching the star level, the so-called evolved beast seems to have transcended the ordinary star level category. Especially in the genius battle last time, the star-level creature was directly suppressed by a creature that didn't even show its face. This made the Empire feel the slightest shock. Being able to suppress a primary-level star creature without even meeting him. To the Empire, this was a powerful person that they did not have. In this case, they changed their previous routine and reported the information directly to their superiors. Of course, since the strength of this evolved beast is unclear, it is not clear to the Empire whether this piece of information will be taken seriously by the super-powerful forces at the galaxy level. In fact, this kind of information is difficult to take seriously. It's not that evolved beasts are not scary, but because everywhere in the universe, there will be their own problems, and there will also be legends about creatures like evolved beasts. For example, some races are the descendants of very scary eating tribes, and now they have developed again. Engaged in battles with big forces, and compared with some warriors, extremely powerful, and then engaged in wandering battles with big forces, and so on. The larger the territory, the more such news. For them, although the news uploaded by the Empire is also very important, they have not even seen the shadow of the evolved beast, not even the evolved beast. It is not certain whether the beast exists or not, so it is even less possible to pay attention to it. Okay, send a team to go to the genius battlefield and have a look. If there is any news, we will come back. But I believe this is just a rumor. Even if there are really some evolved beasts in the genius battlefield, they might be other creatures. Using the name of this evolved beast to play psychological warfare with the Empire, it is more likely that the Empire just wants to use our name to help him fight, which will cause us a lot of losses, so we need to investigate clearly. Yes, my lord. A low-level star-level creature, in an unknown and prosperous star field, conveyed the reply and response to the Empire's news to his subordinates. Okay, that's all the news about the Empire. Next one. The lower-level star-level creature didn't care at all about the news from the Empire. He just turned his head slightly tiredly and looked at the other information on the side. After discovering that there was a lot of information, he smiled bitterly. Oh, it's easy to do this intelligence-gathering job, but it's too troublesome. I should have gone on a crusade with other lower-level friends. Yes, this is the response of the galaxy-level forces far behind the Empire. There are so many things going on the small Earth, let alone the super-large interstellar forces. The territory that the galactic-level forces need to govern is far beyond the imagination of the people on Earth. And such a large territory requires this power to use a difficult-to-find method. The energy of imagination is working, so the gossip from this empire is not taken seriously. It seems that the higher UPS should not pay so much attention to our news. In this case, let's slowly spend another 10 years, or during this period, we can find the exact information on the strength and true form of this evolved beast. If we find it, someone from above should be sent down. That's right, this evolved beast is really cunning. When it first appeared, it didn't reveal much of its true form. The true form that was revealed in Orion's arm was simply too weak to be reported as information. Well, maybe he already knew the news, so he kept it secret like this. Anyway, let's wait and see. The generals of the Empire were very depressed when they received the rewards from the higher level forces, and then reluctantly accepted the fact that the galaxy-level forces would not intervene in the war for the time being. And while they were waiting slowly, time passed quickly. In the subspace, a dense flow of water circulates. Well, my strength seems to have really hit a barrier. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1650. Huh? This power is similar to mine. Could it be? Jia Yan stopped feeling the breakthrough, and then used his brainwave power to explore the starry sky outside. There, he saw his son, Jia Rong. At this time, Jia Rong's fresh and refined appearance made Jia Yan feel slightly funny. This boy has grown up and looks like a young man. That's right. Counting the time, he is actually in his 30s or 40s. However, his talent has indeed inherited a bit of my shadow. Now he feels like a clone of me. I didn't even teach him anything. He understands yin and yang dao to this extent, but this talent, Sci. Jia Yan silently observed the child who was coming. Although Jiarong was already 30 or 40 years old, except for his beard, he still looked like an extremely young child. Especially for Jia Yan, this is just a child. Moreover, at this time, Jiarong's understanding of yin-yang Tao was actually neither deep nor shallow. He had accepted yin-yang Tao in a much shorter time than a group of subordinates, but now he can actually borrow a little bit of the unique positive and negative power of yin-yang Tao. You must know that he is not even half a star. Yes, but it's a pity that the talent in cultivation is relatively poor. Jia Yan lamented Jiarong's strength. Although he may have some talent and inheritance in terms of understanding, he was a little behind in terms of cultivation. Otherwise, how could he not even reach the half-star level after so many years? You must know that he was already a star-level existence at Jiarong's age. Of course, Jia Yan didn't expect this child to catch up with him. This feeling is very depressing. Jia Yan obviously wants his child to catch up with him, but it is impossible for him to do so. In the future, the child may even go west before him because his lifespan is up. This made Jia Yan feel weird about Jiarong. In addition, the way the child came was a bit unacceptable to Jia Yan, so far, the two fathers and sons have been in a special period. Huh? This power. However, Jiarong and his subordinates over there did not think so much. After all, it has been so many years. He has figured out a lot at this time. He just thought that Jia Yan was still making breakthroughs in cultivation with all his strength, so he had just come into contact with Jia Yan. This wave of power radiated out, and he was stunned for a moment, and then became ecstatic. The energy released by Jia Yan at the moment of breakthrough is a kind of experience that is almost directly close to the Tao for his subordinates and Jiarong, who have mastery of the yin and yang dao. So Jiarong is here in an instant, just like the other subordinates. They quickly realized the purity and terrifying power of Jia Yan's energy. He also quickly accepted some kind of incomprehensible artistic conception in Jia Yan's power. I see, the yin and yang dao is used in this way, and I actually went astray before. Fortunately, it's not too late to change it now. Jiarong hurriedly sat down in the starry sky, and the subordinates around him dispersed. As Jiarong's bodyguards, they actually didn't need to protect him. But at this moment, they knew that maybe their master, the giant mosquito ancestor who only exists in their imagination but has never been seen with their own eyes, may be observing them at this time, so they must definitely set such an example, otherwise it will be like this: the opportunity has been missed, so many years of busyness have been wasted. That's right, they followed Jiarong with no other ideas, just to get closer to the ancestor of the giant mosquito, or the senior evolutionary beast. Of course, they also understood that this giant mosquito senior was actually not as old as them, but his strength was much higher than theirs, so there was nothing wrong with treating him as a senior. After looking at the outside world, Jia Yan stopped looking at his son. He has more important things to do now. After all, in the important situation of passing the border, if he delays it, he feels that his passing the border may fail. We are just one step away from that mysterious barrier. Why can't we break through? The trouble just now appeared in Jia Yan's eyes again. He is very depressed. Why is he just a little bit unable to break through the peak of the star? If he breaks through to the peak of the star, then his strength will make great progress, and at the same time, he will be far away from the one that even he has been dreaming about. Galaxy level is one step closer. It's a pity that Katjayan is dead at the final gate of the stellar peak. There must be something wrong somewhere. Why can't I break through? Jia Yan continued to mobilize resources in a daze and rushed towards the final pass of the star's peak, But time and time again, his charge had no effect. Jiarong, who was outside the starry sky, had been feeling the power of ripples, suddenly rippling out in waves. One of them even stopped the power when Jia Yan just broke through the barrier. The shock wave became so huge that he was shocked. He quickly stepped back. Puff. Jiarong spurted out a mouthful of blood. "Master, how are you? Let's step back a little more." Several subordinates quickly flew over to protect Jiarong. Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, was also slightly startled. It was not that he had never experienced such fluctuations before, but those who were outside at that time were either his subordinates or strong men invited from major armies with equally good strength. None of them are at the level of a mere venerable. Now, although Jiarong has good talent, his strength is that of a venerable. One of his own fluctuations actually caused him damage. This. Jia Yanggong wanted to make his fluctuations smaller, but his eyes suddenly changed. Because outside the subspace, Jiarong was shaken by Jia Yan's shockwave, and after spitting blood, he seemed to realize something. "I know, it's so shocking." Jiarong suddenly felt happy, and then he ignored the words of his subordinates and continued to sit cross-legged. A sharp light of breakthrough suddenly appeared in his body. "Hey, what did this little guy realize under my shockwave?" His breakthrough was. Jia Yan silently felt Jiarong's breakthrough. Although this little guy's breakthrough was not like Jia Yan's breakthrough to the top of the star, he was also breaking through to the lower level of the venerable. Speaking of which, it was a relatively low level. More importantly, he is also using Jia Yan's yin and yang dao to break through. In addition, he has a very similar physiological structure to Jia Yan. This can be said to be an extremely amazing little mirror. For Jia Yan, Jiarong's sense of strength and even some of the physical characteristics of a strong person were very similar to his own, so watching his breakthrough, he suddenly gained a little more insight. The young master has made a breakthrough. How could this be possible? The fluctuations around him are so strong. Hey, no, why did the fluctuations disappear? Wow, the master must have seen the young master making a breakthrough and didn't want to disturb him. The master must be paying attention to us. A group of semi-star subordinates instantly knew that Jia Yan must be paying attention to them. They were almost trembling in the huge surprise. Some even knelt down in the air. After all, to them, the stellar level evolved beasts that may even be in the late stellar or higher level are definitely godlike existences, and it would be unjustifiable for them not to kneel down in worship. Jia Yan didn't pay attention to these subordinates, he was just watching Jiarong's every move. Venerable level breakthrough sounds difficult, but it is actually not that complicated. Especially for someone like Jiarong, whose talent is close to that of Jia Yan. In terms of breakthrough, it is very similar to Jia Yan's breakthrough, and the speed is very high. Quick. Fortunately, he is not like Jia Yan, who needs a cocooning process after a breakthrough. Not long after, a series of clicking sounds seemed to resound within Jiarong's body. After waves of trembling, Jiarong seemed to have broken through the invisible cocoon and suddenly looked up to the sky and roared. Ripples flashed in the sky. After this kid broke through to the lower level of the venerable, it seemed that his strength was slowly becoming more and more superior to that of the same level. Good. Jia Yan nodded, and then he suddenly had a realization. After all, after feeling the progress of this boy, he also drew parallels and felt something he could learn from. From a distance, after the breakthrough, Jiarong's eyes flashed with a hint of complexity as he looked at the subspace here. But not long after, he raised his fists and bowed respectfully. "Haha, wrong, you have already broken through. There is no point staying here anymore. Let someone else do it. I will give you 2 years and come back in 2 years to help you break through to half-star level." But Jiarong didn't expect that Jia Yan would respond to him. Suddenly there was an earth-shaking sound that reached the ears of all the creatures in the starry sky. The voice was calm, but there was a faint hint of the mood of a terrifying superior who did not allow others to look directly at him. It seems that with just one thought, every creature here will be instantly killed by the master of this power. Old, old master. It is the first time for any creature here, except Jiarong, to truly see Jia Yan's terrifying strength. It is also the first time to face a powerful person from the lower level of the star. Even this powerful person from the lower level of the star. Yes, it was rumored that after reaching the star level, they simply ignored the terrifying evolved beasts of the same level. In an instant, their psychology was so frightened that they almost collapsed completely. What a terrifying power this is! Fortunately, there is no offensive meaning in the power. Otherwise, all of them present would die if they were attacked by this thought. It turns out that the young master they were following really had such a terrifying father, and that this father had just failed to achieve a breakthrough in cultivation, so he was really trying to protect his son, the young master they had been following. This made a group of subordinates feel deeply that they were not following the wrong person. But Jiarong doesn't have so many emotions. This is not the first time he has felt such terrible energy. But this time, he still felt a little weird, because compared to the Jia Yan he felt before, this time it was obviously much scarier and more friendly. Then I'll leave and come back to see you in 2 years. Jiarong clasped his fists, then flew towards the way he came without looking back. Jia Yan looked at the tiny figure of the earthling who was going away and let out a long sigh. In fact, he also felt that he felt a little sorry for his son. After all, although he was unwilling to admit his status at first, he later Jia Yan wanted to put his own dream, that is, the dream of becoming an ordinary earthling, on this son, so he suffered many different hardships. Jia Yan deeply felt that his so-called father, and did not do well. I obviously want to accept his offer, but forget it, the inspiration I just found is enough for me to make a breakthrough. From his son's breakthrough just now, Jia Yan has found the inspiration for his own breakthrough, so at this moment, he silently closed his external perception channel, and instantly entered the true artistic conception of breakthrough. Not long after, a verdant green creature arrived. It was Luo Longxi. Hey, sir, he is completely in seclusion. Does this mean that he is going to truly break through? He, it seems that asking Xiaorong to come over will be fruitful. Luo Longxi saw that Jia Yan, who had been stuck in the breakthrough mood for a long time, actually entered the feeling of breakthrough, and finally let out a long sigh of relief. It was Luo Longxi who asked Jiarong to come over just now. It was not that Luo Longxi knew that Jia Yan could have any breakthrough in his state of mind through the arrival of her son, but that she wanted to help Jiarong, but she couldn't. Unexpectedly, Jiarong made a breakthrough with Jia Yan without any surprise, but it also affected Jia Yan's breakthrough. This father-son duo is really interesting. The artistic conception of this breakthrough is indeed extremely powerful. Haha, my luck has come. Tiankao heard, I can completely surpass you, just look at it now. Suddenly, Luo Longxi stopped thinking so much. After feeling the horror of Jia Yan's breakthrough, she instantly entered into a state of enlightenment. On the other side, Jiarong, who had left, returned to a giant battleship, and inside this battleship, there was a stunning woman who looked like an earthling woman, waiting quietly. Have you made a breakthrough? Seeing Jiarong's return, the woman was not surprised. There was no hint of respect in her words, because she didn't need to be respectful to Jiarong at all. After all, she was Jiarong's mother, Satsumakan. Mother, I have lived up to your expectations, I have made a breakthrough. Jiarong quickly stepped forward to salute, then he hesitated before saying, aren't you going to see him? No need. In fact, I have made peace with him a long time ago. There will be a lot of time in the future. Satsumakan shook his head with a smile. Her expressions and demeanor have slowly become closer to those of earthlings. She has the same psychological emotions, the same values, and temperament, all of which are completely similar to those of a real earthly beauty. Maybe Jia Yan will be happy if he finds out. No one can guarantee this until they actually meet. In short, in the distant starry sky, in the enclosed subspace, waves of power suddenly collided, and with a loud bang, endless power surged. Jia Yan was breaking through, but Luo Longxi nearby, unlike Jia Rong who was instantly shocked, didn't care much about the slight fluctuations, and constantly felt the power of Jia Yan's breakthrough. Boom! Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1651. The huge mosquito body is coiled in the subspace. Now no one knows what level the owner of this figure has reached. A star-level evolved beast is already extremely terrifying, but an evolved beast that has been to the outside world, has even mastered a new path in the outside world, and has seen other people's paths, then there is no telling where it will reach. To a certain extent. Anyway, other races have always been unable to understand Jia Yan, and they did not expect his growth rate. As Jia Yan himself said, his current lifespan is not even 100 years old. So how much stronger can a 100-year-old cosmic creature be, no matter how fast it progresses? Strength takes a certain amount of time to slowly increase, it is not something that can be achieved overnight. But unfortunately, this is not the case for Jia Yan today. His strength has already increased rapidly before reaching the age of 100. Even if others knew that he was about to reach the peak of the stars, they would be absolutely speechless and at a loss. Puff, puff, puff. A series of noises sounded silently in this space. The energy is a bit insufficient. Fortunately, last time they collected a large amount of energy sources from the two star fields, it was barely enough. Well, the energy I need now requires both star fields to work hard to help me search for energy. What should I do if I want to hit the galaxy level? Should I just lie down on the planet to absorb energy? It's a bit too much. Jia Yan was in the subspace, worried about the energy required to make his body stronger again. It's okay now, but if his strength improves a little more in the future, or if he prepares to enter the galaxy level, the power he needs by then will not only be enough now. Fortunately, Jia Yan doesn't need to worry about this matter yet. We'll talk about it later. Now he just wants to get as close to that level as possible. It's almost here. I feel that my body is slowly approaching the peak of stellar level. Jia Yan thought about this silently, and then the fluctuations in his body were like waves of heat, mobilizing the energy in his body. After all, he is an extremely powerful person, and his breakthrough at this time seems to come easily. But the pain that would come still came, and Jia Yan even felt that his brainwave power suddenly shut down for a period of time. This was because his body knew that his strength was at an important juncture of breakthrough. In fact, breaking through to the peak of the star has nothing to do with enlightenment or the like. After all, it is not the key to breaking through the galaxy, so this time only a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of removal of body impurities are needed to achieve a breakthrough. Strength. For Jia Yan, his strength seems to have been enough for a long time. Although his mentality is not that good, in fact his mentality is good enough. In fact, among star-level experts, Jia Yan's mentality and state are the most perfect. Other experts are not talented enough, so every time they want to break through, it takes a long time. That is to say, the feeling of the last breakthrough has long been forgotten. After all, each level is separated by hundreds or even hundreds of years. Who would not forget this? But Jia Yan is different. It feels like his last breakthrough was not long ago, even because he has been breaking through the secondary strength before, and even when the secondary strength level reached the high-level star, it was less than 2 years ago, so the feeling and mentality of breakthrough are completely confident. At least for Jia Yan, his strength has reached the point where he can break through, and the breakthrough state in his heart is also completely complete. This is different for other strong people. They will doubt whether their mentality is really, or you think you are not yet ready to break through, so you miss the best time to break through. Based on the above factors, it is logical that Jia Yan is more sure of his breakthrough than other strong men. After all, he is not only good in mentality, but also has extremely shocking talent. In terms of the feeling of breakthrough, it is simply nothing can go wrong. Buzz buzz. Within the subspace ripples were turbulent. The instantaneous fluctuations shook Jia Yan's body and energy to the sky, with earth-shattering vibrations, and even the subspace power of this space almost completely shattered. Here we go. Outside the subspace, Luo Longxi silently paid attention to the movements here. In fact, after leaving for a while, Relancy returned at this time. Yes, about a year has passed for Jia Yan to prepare for a breakthrough in the subspace. This is the view of time for a strong person. Every strong person, even a person with talent like Jia Yan, needs to break through. It is necessary to adjust your physical and mental state to the best for a long time. This year is very necessary. Next to Luo Longxi, there were 2 members of Jia Yan's team, including the female creature from the Scorpion tribe. It's really amazing. Even though your talent has reached this level, it still caused such a big turmoil. You must know that every turmoil proves the danger that you encountered when you broke through. Yes, this shows how terrifying a stellar breakthrough is. In other words, we may not be able to reach your current strength in our lifetime, but it is good to take a look to prepare for our possible breakthroughs in the future. Make some preparations in advance. Several subordinates were silently watching Jia Yan's breakthrough. To them, Jia Yan's breakthrough seemed to have given them a premonition or a reference. Even the energy shock during breakthrough is an opportunity for them to deepen their understanding of yin and yang dao. Every fluctuation, every energy turbulence will have a great effect and have its own profound meaning, although most of the fluctuations are impossible to see. Yes, but this is enough for them to understand many abilities, application methods, etc. This is the feeling that Jia Yan's subordinates have every time they strive to watch Jia Yan's breakthrough. Especially Luo Longxi, she has watched it many times, so her strength is the fastest among several subordinates. Several subordinates have been unhappy for a while. Huh? I seem to have suddenly gained some insights into the fluctuations just now. You guys can watch it here first, and I'll go back and practice some more. Luo Longxi looked at the fluctuations in Jia Yan's cultivation. Suddenly, she felt something in her heart, and then she returned to her battleship without looking back. Well, this guy actually feels it. Could it be that she is about to break through too? How is it possible? At most, she can only break through to the high level of the stellar mid-level. To reach the peak of the stellar mid-level, it will take at least decades of polishing. How can it be so fast? Yes, although her talent is good, it is not much better than ours. We have not yet reached the threshold of the mid-level and high-level stars. Even if she is fast, she cannot reach the high-level stars as quickly as we do the top of the stairs. Several people were talking about Luo Longxi's strength, but their eyes flashed with a bit of urgency. After all, for Jia Yan, his subordinates still have to chase him faster. If he reaches the galaxy level, but his subordinates are still at the intermediate stellar level, then there really will be nothing that anyone can do to help Jia Yan. If they are busy, then even if they can continue to follow Jia Yan in the future, the distance between the two parties will become wider and wider, and then Jia Yan will completely abandon them. In order to catch up with Jia Yan, this group of subordinates have worked very hard, and even what they did, if they knew it before meeting Jia Yan, they would be dumbfounded, because in the past, they were all strong men who protected themselves wisely. There will not be too many confrontations with the forces of powerful people at the stellar level, because the easiest thing to do is to die between stars, and this is actually what many powerful people above the stellar level in the universe do. Method, after all, after reaching the stellar level, everyone is a respectable being. If they fight anymore, they will really be like ordinary creatures. Isn't it true that too many people at the stellar level die, and their status is not as high as that of ordinary creatures? Already. But now, they are fighting against Jia Yan and a group of star-level forces, or they may even have star-level forces to fight against the galaxy-level forces. This is a huge pressure for them, so they will spontaneously move faster. With their cultivation, it just so happens that the yin and yang Tao taught by Jia Yan also has the ability to turn decay into magic, so they can quickly upgrade. Okay, our strength must be broken through quickly. If you come out of seclusion, we can break through a small level, that is, we can reach the high level of stellar mid-level in 10 years. Not even the peak of stellar mid-level will make you proud. You must be impressed by us. But it's probably very difficult to reach this level. Some of the 9 of us will definitely not be able to reach it. Those who can't reach it may be eliminated in the future. Well, come on. Several subordinates are planning for their future 10 years from now. After all, they were under great pressure, and they happen to have the unique fluctuations of Jia Yan's cultivation here to verify and learn from, so they were able to quickly understand the rules and other things, and the speed of improvement was extremely fast. Time passed quickly as a succession of subordinates came and went and then left silently. Jia Yan has actually passed several years quickly in the subspace. This year is already his 8th year hiding in subspace. Outside the subspace, for the first time, several creatures different from the subordinates of Jia Yan's team came here. These are several extremely small creatures. One of the most powerful ones has probably reached the peak of the venerable level. I didn't expect that I would be stuck at the top of the venerable level for several years, haha. Luckily I also learned Yin Yang Dao, but I couldn't even reach the half-star level in a few years. It's simply a rubbish talent. This creature at the pinnacle of the venerable level laughed silently to himself. Master, you are already very good. Really, in the past few years, you have not only mastered Yin and Yang Dao, but also introduced Yin and Yang Dao. It took so much time to get started. It is already very fast to be able to break through to the peak of the venerable level. That's right. Next, you have to go to the place where the master is to gain insights. As long as the insights are good, you might reach a half-star level. If the master knows, he will definitely be satisfied with you. Several creatures around this tiny creature quickly gave verbal comfort to the young master beside them. These big creatures are also very powerful, all at half-star level, and 1 or 2 of them look familiar. They are the subordinates who followed Jiarong in the past. Yes, that tiny creature is Jiarong. At this time, nearly 10 years have passed for Jiarong. He no longer looks like the young man before. Instead, he deliberately grew a mustache and looked like a frail scholar in his 20s. Although it's a bit elegant, it doesn't feel like a strong one. That's right, Jiarong has already washed away his reputation. Especially in these years, he has learned a lot of Jia Yan's stories, and after connecting them with the stories of Genius Battlefield, he understands that he will never be able to do it in his life. In terms of strength, he surpasses or is even close to his father, so his pursuit of strength is not so deliberate. Just because of his bloodline, at this moment, his strength is also at the peak of the venerable. Is he satisfied with me? Ha, you don't understand. Jiarong smiled bitterly. Although he had untied most of the knots in his heart, it was absolutely impossible to untie the thoughts that Jia Yan had developed since he was a child. He had a vague feeling that this knot in his heart might be I will follow him for the rest of my life. That's all, let's go see him. It seems that I have been back for so long and have never seen him in person except his clone, but I won't be able to see him in person this time. Jiarong smiled silently to himself, and then got closer to the place of fluctuation. At this moment, Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, had reached an extremely important point. Why can't the body energy here be transformed into a more pure form? I have spent 2 years transforming it, but I can't even succeed in this tiny bit. Jia Yan continued to try in vain to convert the last bit of ability. This is already the last hurdle on his way to the pinnacle of the stars. The previous energy transformation and even the balance of the body had been successful, but unfortunately, the last little difference in energy made him still stuck at the high star level, unable to break through to the top of the star level. It won't work anymore. I feel like it will be the same if I continue to attack. Do I have to give up like this? Jia Yan is a little helpless. The inability to convert this little bit of energy means that his 10 years of seclusion has declared a failure. At the same time, this failure will also cause certain cracks in his mentality of making rapid progress. In the future, there may be uncertainty when you break through, and the failure rate may increase greatly when you break through. So he didn't really want to declare failure. Just when Jia Yan was thinking about how to make things better, he suddenly felt that a force very similar to him appeared in the normal starry sky not far away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1652. Huh? This power is similar to mine. Could it be? Jia Yan stopped feeling the breakthrough, and then used his brainwave power to explore the starry sky outside. There, he saw his son, Jia Rong. At this time, Jia Rong's fresh and refined appearance made Jia Yan feel slightly funny. This boy has grown up and looks like a young man. That's right. Counting the time, he is actually in his 30s or 40s. However, his talent has indeed inherited a bit of my shadow. Now he feels like a clone of me. I didn't even teach him anything. He understands yin and yang dao to this extent, but this talent, Jia Yan silently observed the child who was coming. Although Jia Rong was already 30 or 40 years old, except for his beard, he still looked like an extremely young child. Especially for Jia Yan, this is just a child. And at this time, Jia Rong's understanding of yin and yang tao is actually neither deep nor shallow. He has accepted yin and yang tao in a much shorter time than a group of subordinates, but now he can actually borrow a little bit of the unique positive and negative power of yin and yang tao. You must know that he is not even half a star. Yes, but it's a pity that the talent in cultivation is relatively poor. Jia Yan lamented Jia Rong's strength. Although he may have some talent and inheritance in terms of understanding, he was a little behind in terms of cultivation. Otherwise, how could he not even reach the half-star level after so many years? You must know that he was already a star-level existence at Jia Rong's age. Of course, Jia Yan didn't expect this child to catch up with him. This feeling is very depressing. Jia Yan obviously wants his child to catch up with him, but it is impossible for him to do so. In the future, the child may even go west before him because his lifespan is up. This made Jia Yan feel weird about Jia Rong. In addition, the way the child came was a bit unacceptable to Jia Yan, so far, the two fathers and sons have been in a special period. Huh? This power. However, Jia Rong and his subordinates over there did not think so much. After all, it has been so many years. He has figured out a lot at this time. He just thought that Jia Yan was still making breakthroughs in cultivation with all his strength, so he had just come into contact with Jia Yan. This wave of power radiated out, and he was stunned for a moment, and then became ecstatic. The energy released by Jia Yan at the moment of breakthrough is a kind of experience that is almost directly close to the Tao for his subordinates and Jia Rong, who have mastery of the yin and yang dao. So Jia Rong is here in an instant, just like the other subordinates. They quickly realized the purity and terrifying power of Jia Yan's energy. He also quickly accepted some kind of incomprehensible artistic conception in Jia Yan's power. I see, the yin and yang dao is used in this way, and I actually went astray before. Fortunately, it's not too late to change it now. Jiarong hurriedly sat down in the starry sky, and the subordinates around him dispersed. As Jiarong's bodyguards, they actually didn't need to protect him. But at this moment, they knew that maybe their master, the giant mosquito ancestor who only exists in their imagination but has never been seen with their own eyes, may be observing them at this time, so they must definitely set such an example, otherwise it will be like this: the opportunity has been missed, so many years of busyness have been wasted. That's right, they followed Jiarong with no other ideas, just to get closer to the ancestor of the giant mosquito, or the senior evolutionary beast. Of course, they also understood that this giant mosquito senior was actually not as old as them, but his strength was much higher than theirs, so there was nothing wrong with treating him as a senior. After looking at the outside world, Jia Yan stopped looking at his son. He has more important things to do now. After all, in the important situation of passing the border, if he delays it, he feels that his passing the border may fail. We are just one step away from that mysterious barrier. Why can't we break through? The trouble just now appeared in Jia Yan's eyes again. He is very depressed. Why is he just a little bit unable to break through the peak of the star? If he breaks through to the peak of the star, then his strength will make great progress, and at the same time he will be far away from the one that even he has been dreaming about. Galaxy level is one step closer. It's a pity that Katjayan is dead at the final gate of the stellar peak. There must be something wrong somewhere. Why can't I break through? Jia Yan continued to mobilize resources in a daze and rushed towards the final pass of the star's peak, but time and time again, his charge had no effect. Jiarong, who was outside the starry sky, had been feeling the power of ripples, suddenly rippling out in waves. One of them even stopped the power when Jia Yan just broke through the barrier. The shock wave became so huge that he was shocked. He quickly stepped back. Puff. Jiarong spurted out a mouthful of blood. Master, how are you? Let's step back a little more. Several subordinates quickly flew over to protect Jiarong. Jia Yan, who was in the subspace, was also slightly startled. It was not that he had never experienced such fluctuations before, but those who were outside at that time were either his subordinates or strong men invited from major armies with equally good strength. None of them are at the level of a mere venerable. Although Jiarong is very talented now, his strength is that of a venerable. One of his own fluctuations actually caused him damage. This. Jia Yanggong wanted to make his fluctuations smaller, but his eyes suddenly changed. Because outside the subspace, Jiarong was shaken by Jia Yan's shockwave, and after spitting blood, he seemed to realize something. I know, it's so shocking. Jiarong suddenly felt happy, and then he ignored the words of his subordinates and continued to sit cross-legged. A sharp light of breakthrough suddenly appeared in his body. Hey, what did this little guy realize under my shockwave? His breakthrough was. Jia Yan silently felt Jiarong's breakthrough. Although this little guy's breakthrough was not like Jia Yan's breakthrough to the top of the star, he was also breaking through to the lower level of the venerable. Speaking of which, it was a relatively low level. More importantly, he is also using Jia Yan's yin and yang dao to break through. In addition, he has a very similar physiological structure to Jia Yan. This can be said to be an extremely amazing little mirror. For Jia Yan, Jiarong's sense of strength and even some of the physical characteristics of a strong person were very similar to his own, so watching his breakthrough, he suddenly gained a little more insight. The young master has made a breakthrough. How could this be possible? The fluctuations around him are so strong. Hey, no, why did the fluctuations disappear? Wow, the master must have seen the young master making a breakthrough and didn't want to disturb him. The master must be paying attention to us. A group of semi-star subordinates instantly knew that Jia Yan must be paying attention to them. They were almost trembling in the huge surprise. Some even knelt down in the air. After all, to them, the stellar-level evolved beasts that may even be in the late stellar or higher level are definitely godlike existences, and it would be unjustifiable for them not to kneel down in worship. Jia Yan didn't pay attention to these subordinates, he was just watching Jiarong's every move. Venerable level breakthrough sounds difficult, but it is actually not that complicated. Especially for someone like Jiarong, whose talent is close to that of Jia Yan. In terms of breakthrough, it is very similar to Jia Yan's breakthrough, and the speed is very high. Quick. Fortunately, he is not like Jia Yan, who needs a cocooning process after a breakthrough. Not long after, a series of clicking sounds seemed to resound within Jiarong's body. After waves of trembling, Jiarong seemed to have broken through the invisible cocoon and suddenly looked up to the sky and roared. Ripples flashed in the sky. After this kid broke through to the lower level of the Venerable, it seemed that his strength was slowly becoming more and more superior to that of the same level. Good. Jia Yan nodded, and then he suddenly had a realization. After all, after feeling the progress of this boy, he also drew parallels and felt something he could learn from. From a distance, after the breakthrough, Jiarong's eyes flashed with a hint of complexity as he looked at the subspace here. But not long after, he raised his fists and bowed respectfully. Haha, wrong you've already broken through. There's no point staying here any longer. Let's find someone else. I'll give you 2 years and come back after 2 years to help you break through to half-star level. But Jiarong didn't expect that Jia Yan would respond to him. Suddenly there was an earth-shaking sound that reached the ears of all the creatures in the starry sky. The voice was calm, but there was a faint hint of the mood of a terrifying superior who did not allow others to look directly at him. It seems that with just one thought, every creature here will be instantly killed by the master of this power. Old master. It is the first time for any creature here, except Jiarong, to truly see Jia Yan's terrifying strength. It is also the first time to face a powerful person from the lower level of the star. Even this powerful person from the lower level of the star. Yes, it was rumored that after reaching the star level, they simply ignored the terrifying evolved beasts of the same level. In an instant, their psychology was so frightened that they almost collapsed completely. What a terrifying power this is. Fortunately, the power does not have any offensive meaning. Otherwise, all of them present would die if they were attacked by this thought. It turns out that the young master they were following really had such a terrifying father, and that this father had just failed to achieve a breakthrough in cultivation, so he was really trying to protect his son, the young master they had been following. This made a group of subordinates feel deeply that they were not following the wrong person. But Jiarong doesn't have so many emotions. This is not the first time he has felt such terrible energy. But this time, he still felt a little weird, because compared to the Jia Yan he felt before, this time it was obviously much scarier and more friendly. Then I'll leave and come back to see you in 2 years. Jiarong clasped his fists, then flew towards the way he came without looking back. Jia Yan looked at the tiny figure of the earthling who was going away and let out a long sigh. In fact, he also felt that he felt a little sorry for his son. After all, although he was unwilling to admit his status at first, he later Jia Yan wanted to put his own dream, that is, the dream of becoming an ordinary earthling, on this son, so he suffered many different hardships. Jia Yan deeply felt that his so-called father, and did not do well. I obviously want to accept his offer, but forget it, the inspiration I just found is enough for me to make a breakthrough. From his son's breakthrough just now, Jia Yan has found the inspiration for his own breakthrough, so at this moment, he silently closed his external perception channel, and instantly entered the true artistic conception of breakthrough. Not long after, a verdant green creature arrived, it was Luo Longxi. Hey, sir, he is completely in seclusion. Does this mean that he is going to truly break through? He, it seems that asking Xiaorong to come over will be fruitful. Luo Longxi saw that Jia Yan, who had been stuck in the breakthrough mood for a long time, actually entered the feeling of breakthrough, and finally let out a long sigh of relief. It was Luo Longxi who asked Xiaorong to come over just now. It was not that Luo Longxi knew that Jia Yan could have any breakthrough in his state of mind through the arrival of her son, but that she wanted to help Xiaorong, but she couldn't. If you don't think so, unsurprisingly, Xiaorong broke through with Jia Yan, but it also affected Jia Yan's breakthrough. This father-son duo is really interesting. The artistic conception of this breakthrough is indeed extremely powerful. Haha, my luck has come. Tian Cao heard, I can completely surpass you, just look at it now. Suddenly, Luo Longxi stopped thinking so much. After feeling the horror of Jia Yan's breakthrough, she instantly entered into a state of enlightenment. On the other side, Xiaorong, who had left, returned to a giant battleship, and inside this battleship, there was a stunning woman who looked like an earthling woman, waiting quietly. Have you made a breakthrough? Seeing Xiaorong's return, the woman was not surprised. There was no hint of respect in her words, because she didn't need to be respectful to Xiaorong at all. After all, she was Xiaorong's mother, Satsamakan. Mother, I have lived up to your expectations, I have made a breakthrough. Xiaorong quickly stepped forward to salute, then he hesitated before saying, aren't you going to see him? No need. In fact, I have made peace with him a long time ago. There will be a lot of time in the future. Satsamakan shook his head with a smile. Her expression and demeanor have slowly become closer to those of earthlings. She has the same psychological emotions, the same values, and temperament, all of which are completely similar to those of a real earthly beauty. Maybe Jia Yan will be happy if he finds out. No one can guarantee this until they actually meet. In short, in the distant starry sky, in the enclosed subspace, waves of power suddenly collided, and with a loud bang, endless power surged. Jia Yan was breaking through, but Luo Longxi nearby, unlike Xiaorong who was instantly shocked, didn't care much about the slight fluctuations, and constantly felt the power of Jia Yan's breakthrough. Boom! Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 1653. Suddenly, after an unknown amount of time of breakthrough and roar, there was finally an earth-shaking and terrifying explosion sound coming from the shaking subspace. Breakthrough. Outside the subspace, Luo Longxi looked at the exploded subspace from a distance, with a slight solemn expression on her face. You must know that she has been guarding the outside of this subspace, and she can completely see the changes in power inside. Now the power of this explosion, to her, is like the previous bondage, completely breaking out of the cocoon. Chindi felt different from the previous feeling in an instant, so she judged that the adult in the subspace should have made a breakthrough. The earth-shattering explosion in the subspace was naturally caused by Jia Yan. Well, I have indeed achieved a breakthrough. Is this the feeling of power at the peak of a star? Although it's good to have a breakthrough, what is the pressure lingering in front of me? This kind of obstacle is really uncomfortable. Jia Yan silently felt his current strength, the huge mosquito body just stopped inside the subspace. Although he broke through, at the moment of the breakthrough, he felt that there was an invisible obstacle in front of his body. This obstacle made him feel very uncomfortable even though his current strength was much greater than before. Comfortable, no matter what you do, there will be such an invisible barrier blocking you, which makes no one feel comfortable. Is this, the so-called galactic barrier? I see. No wonder in a normal universe, it is almost difficult to see strong men at the top of the stars wandering around, or even fighting, because there is this barrier that appears anytime and anywhere. Now, who would be interested in engaging in outside activities? I wouldn't even want to go out. I have to break through this barrier to feel comfortable. Jia Yan felt the annoying barrier and knew that this was the nature of living things. Because he saw a level far beyond the past, or the level of living beings appeared in front of his eyes, the nature of living things would let him go. To cross this level, unfortunately, most of the stellar pinnacle creatures do not have this talent, so they can only die alone in such discomfort. But Jia Yan was different. After he felt the barrier, he silently remembered the current feeling, and then flew out of the subspace. You must know that he has broken through, and then he will have the opportunity to smash that thin barrier again at any time and step into all life, even the entire galaxy, to enjoy the extremely high status of the galaxy level. In the Milky Way, at least as far as Jia Yan knows now, except for the galaxy, there is no other creature that is more powerful than the galaxy class. This is true even in the central region of the Milky Way, where there are more creatures and powerful people, so it has arrived. Galaxy level, even if there is still a territory lord who is like a sharp blade lying across the heads of all galaxy level creatures, the territory lord also belongs to the galaxy, so when it comes to that level, it will be the truly most powerful creature. Category. You're really looking forward to it, Zeng. Jia Yan had no intention of breaking through the seemingly easy barrier in one go, because he knew it was impossible. This thin barrier has trapped countless stellar geniuses and powerful people to death, some of which are equally earth-shattering and terrifying talents. Even Jia Yan knows that in the center of the galaxy, some people have gained great power. With resources to support him, his speed may be no less than his own genius. He will be stuck at this level for a lifetime, and then die in such depression. Therefore, he did not directly break through. Although as an evolved beast, it is inevitable to break through to the galaxy level at this level, but there is absolutely no possibility of breaking through at once. Jia Yan cannot do it because of arrogance. Without accurate judgment, the laws of this universe are not that simple. So he flew out of the subspace, and would continue to pass the level until the time came. Oh! Luo Longxi was waiting in front, but Jia Yan discovered that there was another tiny creature there. Jia Yan remembered that when he broke through, he told Jia Rong that if he couldn't break through to half-star level in 2 years, he would come to him. Now, it's been 2 years. In other words, did the 10-year period pass so quickly during the period of my breakthrough? Time really flies so fast, especially after becoming a strong person. A retreat and a breakthrough actually take 10 years to calculate. This is still a person with excellent talent like Jia Yan. For someone with less talent, he may have to retreat for a while. Hundreds of years ago. Grown-ups. Jia Yan flew closer silently, and then he saw that Luo Longxi's strength had indeed improved slightly. We are almost reaching the high level of Star Intermediate. Work harder and raise your level during this period. Among them, you should be the fastest to improve. If you can surpass them, I will give you corresponding measures status. Jia Yan said to Luo Longxi. Yes, my lord. Receiving Jia Yan's approval, especially these words, was a great encouragement to Luo Longxi. She had always been pursuing a higher status than other Jia Yan subordinates, and now Jia Yan actually spoke. This matter will really be possible in the future. How could she not be surprised? After finishing talking to Luo Longxi, Jia Yan looked at Jia Rong with some confusion. This so-called son was actually practicing at this time. The huge roaring explosion just now gave Jia Rong a certain impact, but he was guarded by Luo Longxi. Then through the power of the yin and yang dao of the explosion, he realized something and fell into practice. Well, this kid's talent is really good. I was thinking that if he didn't realize it on his own, I would find a way to help him. Now that he has realized it on his own, let's just wait. After Jia Yan was silent for a while, he did not leave. He just flew with Luo Longxi in the vacuum of the universe, silently waiting for Jia Rong's promotion. Jia Rong's talent is indeed good, especially in terms of comprehension. It seems that he has truly accepted Jia Yan's inheritance, so he made a smooth breakthrough at this time. Half-star level is a small level of star level. Back then, Jia Yan directly skipped half a star level, but the cultivation method was that Jia Yan had to pass through the body of an evolved beast, and there were various elements of luck. It was absolutely impossible for Jiarong to follow his own old path, so Jia Yan also did not give Jiarong the idea of breaking through to the star level directly. After all, with that kind of breakthrough method, except for himself, he could not think of any chance for other creatures to achieve star level. Boom boom boom. In the heaven and earth, another earth-shaking explosion suddenly exploded, but it was thousands of times weaker than the previous fluctuation caused by Jia Yan. Then, a long roar sounded. A creature that looked just like a man on earth suddenly flew up against the dark background of the universe, and drank long and loud in the air. The energy in his body seemed to be inexhaustible. Half-star level, ha ha ha. Jiarong's face was filled with ecstasy. He kept looking at his arms, and then at his body. Although he didn't know why, his body was not like other creatures. As his strength increased, his body would become bigger, but this is also something he likes. After all, he has integrated into the Earth society, and he will not be able to blend in due to his enlarged body. Suddenly, he looked startled, because he found that in front of him, an extremely terrifying monster with a length of 10 kilometers, like a planet, was silently paying attention to him. It can be said that Jiarong has not officially met with giant Mosquito for a long time. Now he still knew that this giant Mosquito was his father, and he saw this father again, so for a moment, Jiarong didn't know what to say. "You're great, come on." Jia Yan didn't know what to say, but he just said this to Jiarong with extremely huge brainwave power, and then he and Luo Longxi headed towards the fleet. "Wait, father, sir!" Jiarong shouted, calling to stop the starry sky beast that seemed to him almost terrifying. "Since you already know our relationship, it's okay to call me father, but don't scream when you go out. I have many enemies. I can't guarantee whether you will be in danger without my protection." Jia Yan's faint voice sounded next to Jiarong's. I know, I'm just asking, back then, did you have the heart to acknowledge our mother and son?" Jiarong suddenly asked what he had wanted to ask for so many years. He knew that Jia Yan had already acquiesced to the existence of their mother and son. Even to the outside world, many creatures may know their existence. It can be said that the memory of childhood is not so easy to erase, so he wanted to ask, did Jia Yan have the idea of treating them as family back then? Jia Yan was slightly startled. He himself had never given much thought to this idea, but actually thinking back on it, he knew that he had a son back then, and even though he ignored Satsuma and her son at that time, and instead hung out with his niece Kikai, it was probably subconsciously that he knew that he had a son. "Want to see your mother and son family up close?" So after being silent for a while, Jia Yan moved forward again. But his words rang in Jiarong's ears. "Have." A short word, but it seemed to make Jiarong's heart surge with passion, as if even Kuei-er, who had broken through to the semi-star level, could not match this word. "Sir, Master Xiaorong is very happy." Luo Longxi caught up with Jia Yan, who was flying, and said this behind Jia Yan's back. "Okay, I know. Sir, are you happy too? Are you bothered? If you talk any more, I will take back what you just said." He, okay, I understand, I don't dare to say any more." Luo Longxi actually teased Jia Yan a few words. Especially in this situation, she felt that her relationship with Jia Yan was not so distant, but very close. "Okay, let's go together and see if 10 years have passed and those people in the Empire are ready to take back their half-light year." After Jia Yan and Luo Longxi flew away. Not long after, an extremely fast small figure also flew out of the starry sky. Although Jia Yan did not send him away, Jiarong was very happy. After receiving that one-word reply, he felt as if his entire life had paid off. Actually, looking back, haven't I been living under the shadow of these questions my whole life? Haha, now I finally got his response, I don't have to worry about these words anymore. It's really tiring. Jiarong thought about a lot, especially from Jia Yan's perspective. He also thought about how he would react if he encountered Jia Yan's situation. Then he discovered that he could not do better than Jia Yan. Forget it, let's go back and have a good time with my mother. Then I have to focus on my path to becoming a strong person, especially the yin and yang dao. He may not have discovered that the yin and yang dao actually has more advantages for me. Jiarong suddenly became even more happy when he thought about his advantages, especially his good compatibility with yin and yang dao. He was secretly wondering if he should surprise Jia Yan again. After all, he has been judged by Jia Yan that it will be difficult to break through to a star-level existence in this life. What if he breaks through in the future? That's all, even if it's a breakthrough, so what, let alone where he will reach in the future. Right now, a star level that has just broken through is a brainwave power in front of him. Let's just deal with it, the difference in strength is too big. It's really stupid to compare with Jia Yan. In short, Jiarong doesn't think so much. He just wants to truly liberate his mind, and then just concentrate on training, and hit the biggest level in half a star, and also hit the universe. The level of the truly strong, the stars. Sir, have you gained much this time? Do you have any ideas about the next breakthrough? Flying in the universe, Luo Longxi, who was behind Jia Yan, finally couldn't help but ask such a sentence. Jia Yan made a breakthrough. As someone who saw it with her own eyes, she knew it very well, but there was actually a big difference between breakthrough and breakthrough. It seems that there are some smooth breakthroughs. When the breakthrough is made, the way has been laid for the next breakthrough. As for a talented person like Jia Yan, if the breakthrough process goes smoothly, Luo Longxi does not believe in Jia Yan. The road will not be paved. Krillins was destined to be disappointed. Luo Longxi, you don't understand. Breaking through the galaxy is not that simple, ideas and roadworks are useless. If you have the chance, you will understand what I am saying if you break through to this level. Jia Yan smiled bitterly and shook his head. No matter what roads or ideas, they are meaningless in front of this barrier. The reason why it is said that breaking through to the galaxy level requires a lot of accumulation and a certain amount of inspiration. This is the truth. Some people with extremely talented people cannot break through to the galaxy even if they are stuck for a lifetime, but some people can reach it through bumps and bumps. It was at the top of a star, but it quickly broke through to the galaxy by accident. This kind of thing is no longer something that can be broken through by paving the way or having some ideas.